Amazon 8%. Even Chinese companies, right, like Alibaba, were down a ton. It was one of the worst days in recent memory in the markets, and they were led by Nvidia, who posted what would become the worst single day market cap loss in stock market history. You might remember also that the legendary Silicon Valley venture capitalist investor Mark Andreessen called it AI's Sputnik moment, right? Calling back to this historical moment where the US saw Sputnik launch into orbit and realized that they didn't have the stranglehold over the space race that they thought they had, and that they suddenly had to really kick it into high gear. And of course, we remember, JFK making that a big part of his platform and pushing for the space race and the moon landing and everything that happened after. Now, it's about a month later, right? A month to the day tomorrow, and the markets have moved on surprisingly quickly in many ways from what some thought could be a black swan event, including Nvidia's recovered most of that market cap from the initial loss. But don't be fooled, right? Because that's still in the ether. I think that's still very much a part of what's going on in the markets right now, why they're very uncertain. And the future of AI in the United States is still very much in question. And NVIDIA's earnings report in a few hours will be the company's first real chance to plant their flag. I don't need to tell you, of course, that NVIDIA has had a meteoric rise over the last several years, but here are some things you do need to know. So NVIDIA is now the #2 most valuable company in the entire world. At times, it's climbed to #1 in the entire world, right? It's valued over $3 trillion. Full disclosure, I took this screen cap last night, so I haven't looked where it is at exactly right this second, but it's valued very highly. And there's a good reason why. And just real quick for anyone tuning in, you are in the right spot for the NVIDIA earnings roundtable. We're kicking off at 2:30. I'm Stephen Ground. I am just kind of familiarizing everyone with why we're here. So welcome in. Glad that you can make it. So while me and a lot of our experts today absolutely love NVIDIA stock, Nate loves it, Jack loves it, Graham loves it. Most of our experts are big fans. What you need to understand is that it is fundamentally different from these other stocks in the top five, really from all of the stocks in the Magnificent Seven. It's a very different stock. And the reason is that their valuation is extremely speculative, right? Like Apple, by contrast, actually is the #1 cell phone maker in the world, right? And it's got all of its many platforms and revenue streams and everything else that make it dominant and a hugely valuable company. NVIDIA is different. And the thinking is basically this. AI is the future of the human race, as these investors and Silicon Valley would argue. And NVIDIA is essential to the proliferation of AI. And therefore, NVIDIA is and will remain one of the most important companies or investments in the world. But because AI speculation is driving so much of NVIDIA's trade value, that means that any threat to NVIDIA's dominance or AI's expansion can massively impact NVIDIA's stock price, like we saw with DeepSeek, right? But it isn't just DeepSeek. In fact, this next fact honestly blows my mind. NVIDIA stock has been highly volatile for months, long before DeepSeek hit. Take a look at this chart. 8 of the 10 worst days for a single stock in stock market history in terms of, dollars gross market cap loss, they've all happened in the last 10 months. And Nvidia was responsible for all 8 of those days, right? Back in August, 200 billion lost. Back in July, 205 billion lost. A week before that, another 205 billion lost. You see in June, 208. April 212, January 228, August 279 billion, which was the worst single day loss until, of course, DeepSeek on January 27th with nearly $600 billion lost. So that shows you how volatile NVIDIA can be to the downside. And the question before us today is NVIDIA going to have another record bad or potentially good day after this earnings report? Which is why we brought together our experts standing by to weigh in. But there's a few more things you should know. Historically, NVIDIA's post-earnings performance has been positive 55 to 58% of the time, right? That's barely more than a coin flip. There's not a lot you can pull from that. The median positive post-earnings move is around 4.9%. The median negative post-earnings move is around 5.9% to the downside. And the options market right now currently pricing in a move of around 7 to 8% post-earnings. A lot of that's going to hinge on the continued ramp up of Nvidia's Blackwell GPU, most powerful semiconductor chip in the world. There it is, with the CEO Jensen Huang holding it. The whole bullish Nvidia argument hinges on chips like Blackwell being indispensable to the future of AI, right? That AI has to have super semiconductors that powerful to be able to do the advanced calculations it needs to do to succeed. So Blackwell might be the key word to listen for on today's earnings call. And one final thing. NVIDIA's earnings don't happen in a vacuum. And this is why what we're talking about is so important, because it's not just NVIDIA, right? As we saw on January 27th, as NVIDIA goes, so goes the entire market. The stock's traded 236.78 million shares per day over the last 3 months on average. Look at that. I mean, that number is staggering. It's almost 3 times more than the next highest, and 3 times more than any of these stocks. Unbelievably high number. That astronomical number is one reason why Nvidia's earnings call could potentially move the entire market. And I don't think it's unreasonable, and I know Nate is going to talk about how he feels the same way, to say that the result of today's call could set the direction for the entire market over the coming days and weeks, right? Because we're feeling right now very uncertain. The markets certainly aren't fully bearish, but they're not very confident. I haven't looked at the fear and greed index, but it's been tiptoeing towards greed or towards fear, and people don't know what to expect. So the bearish case for how the markets could really go into a fully bearish mood starting tomorrow after this earnings call would be Nvidia's earnings disappoint. Huang admits that there are new challenges from China that make the future of AI cloudier, kind of negative talk about that. They lower guidance. That's when you can see the panic, the doomsday, the Ragnarok kind of scenario. The bullish case, Nvidia reports strong earnings. They quiet concerns about the future of AI. Maybe they announce a big, investment in the US economy like Apple did a few days ago. Sunshine and gumdrops, happiness all across the board. Investors' confidence is back, and we see a bullish rally over the next few days. So that's why I've assembled this roundtable today, asking 6 of our top experts to join us, weigh in on their expectations, answer all your questions, and most importantly, share their real money trade ideas. So without further ado, let's meet who's joining us today. First, we've got Roger Scott. He's got over 30 years of experience trading everything from corn futures to stock options and ETFs. He ran his first fund with 2 Ivy League economists, both of whom have been advisors in multiple White House administrations. He managed a multi-million-dollar hedge funds and managed funds for one of the richest families in the entire world. And he's been featured on CNBC, CNN, Forbes, Bloomberg, and Fox Business. I'm sure most of you know Uncle Roger. Lance will also be joining us. He's the senior options strategist for the Trading Pub. He traded a $30 million account for a private hedge fund based in Florida. He masterminded the use of institutional order flow and developed, the hugely popular master indicator, news flow scanner, penny option scanner. He nailed Nvidia's last earnings report, telling his traders in Telegram to go short, and created a huge potential win for many of his followers. So he knows what he's talking about. We've got Kane Shea, former PIMCO VP portfolio manager. He helped manage $1.7 trillion in assets, including for companies like Disney, Apple, Google, and more. He's traded $200 billion in daily volume on average during his time with PIMCO, and with legends like Bond King Bill Gross and Allianz chief economic advisor Mohamed El-Erian. And then, after spending a lot of time just being a stay-at-home dad and being with his family, he discovered the incredible gamma pockets hidden inside many of the most popular stocks that brought him back onto Roger's radar and brought him to be part of our team. Graham, of course, who is right behind that wall behind me, my office mate over here. He's an options expert with over a decade of experience trading the markets, studied technical analysis under 2 of the top minds in finance. He developed and popularized wrap order options to help traders cut entry cost and control risk. And of course, he's masterminded the Nvidia Elite strategy, which has delivered a 386.6% return on 31 trades since January of 2024. We've got Nate Tucci, also over a decade of experience trading, Forex stocks, crypto, and beyond. He's worked with dozens of the world's leading experts, helping them refine and develop strategies. Grew his own investment and dividend portfolio by over 100K in 2024. He's the options expert behind automated options, overnight options, profit pairs, and more. And he helped members in his jump trade strategy nail a 143.24% winner in 6 days on Nvidia in October. And last but not least, we've got Jack Carter. He's earned the nickname the Income Ace after nearly 40 years of experience generating premium. He trained on Wall Street at Dean Witter inside the World Trade Center, left Wall Street, managed his own fund so successfully that it never saw a losing month on record. And in recent times, helping Main Street folks like you and me, he created the NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint. Last month alone, he generated $9,039 and $11,079 in just 2 trades on Nvidia, even through the DeepSeek fiasco, helping his students follow the same trade setup. So these are the cream of the crop, the absolute best experts we can have to bring you this information. And here to guide the conversation and take all of your questions is our host, Sarah Sananen, who we are very excited to have leading this conversation, being a part of this. She's absolutely great. She will be watching the chat like a hawk to get to all your questions, as I will be too, steering the conversation, making sure you get the most from what you're doing today, and making sure that this roundtable is a huge value for you. So I'm so excited for today's briefing. How about you? Let's hear it in the chat. I'd love to know your name, where you're coming from, maybe what you're expecting from NVIDIA earnings. Are you bullish or bearish? Are you thinking good news, bad news? Would love to hear from you in the chat so I can shout some folks out. And most importantly, don't wait. Start sending your questions for our experts so we can compile them, because we're kicking off officially at 2:30 p.m. But Sarah's already here in the chat. I believe I saw her a minute ago, and we'll be here helping you get ready. So welcome to the NVIDIA Earnings Roundtable. We are so excited that you're here, and we can't wait in just 12 minutes now to kick it off officially. So welcome into so many of you. We've got Jeffrey from La Plata in Maryland, Jim from Boone, North Carolina. Graham's already checking in the chat. Graham Wimman saying we have an exciting class ahead. I know he's got some awesome stuff prepared for you. We have Terry. Welcome in, Terry. Hassan says hi to Graham. Cyrus, good afternoon to me and everybody. Welcome in, Cyrus. Glad you're here. Craig says hello as well. Thank you, Craig, for the kind words. And yeah, we are excited for this. I'm really can't wait. Dave from Oregon, Linda from Pennsylvania, David from Melbourne, Florida. So many folks tuning in. So glad that all of you are here. Welcome from SoCal, Kenny. Patty from Minnesota. Glad so many of you are here and ready to go. We've got already, I've even lost track, already nearly 500 folks here, and we're expecting an absolutely full house. So welcome in. Very glad that all of you are here. Charlene from Oklahoma in the Midwest, not far from me. Kim says it's going to be good news. Why? First, they have had weeks to prepare. Second, they're a multi-billion-dollar business. And if nothing else, they can and will apply lipstick to the situation. I think that's pretty smart, Kim. I think certainly they're not going to come out and try to spread doom and gloom. They're going to try and put their best foot forward. I just think we always have the two factors, right, in any earnings report. It's what the actual earnings news is here, which is, good or bad. That's very quantitative and measurable. And then there's the reaction on the other side, which is the emotional reaction from traders. And that's what you can never predict, right? Because Huang could come out and say everything's great, record profits, raised guidance, everything's amazing, which I believe happened at the last earnings call. And the investors can just decide, well, we didn't hear X, Y, and Z that we were looking for, so we're going to sell off, and it's going to be very bad. So that's what our experts are going to be talking about. But I love your perspective, Kim. So thank you for sharing it. Tom from Long Island, Brian from South Carolina, Mary Ann in Peoria, not far from my hometown, hoping positive news from NVIDIA. Thank you, Marianne, for being here. I hope so too. Ruth says hello to everyone from sunny Alabama today. It's finally sunny here in Florida too. It was a couple of nasty days to kick off the week, but today's absolutely beautiful. Pete in the Netherlands expects a bullish outcome. Bev from Tucson, Richard from Orlando. John says in Texas, the number of data centers, huge projects underway and planned for the next 4 years is mind-blowing. A lot of equipment needed to fill them up. Yeah, John, I think you're absolutely right. I can't speak on Texas, but I was at a wedding outside DC a couple of weeks ago or a couple months ago now. And it was apparently just a data center haven. I forget what the name of the exact suburb I was in. Somebody will probably know it, but they claim that like 90% of the world's internet flows through there at some point. So, all of their data and everything, those huge centers, just colossal buildings that they need to power all this. And of course, NVIDIA is very important to all that. Kim is here. She says teaches security licensing. So that's why she has the inside track on, how NVIDIA is going to perform today. Dorley from Lake St. Louis in Missouri. Dorley, welcome in. Glad that you're here. I'm very familiar with Lake St. Louis. I have several friends out there from my time in the Baldwin area. So welcome in. Glad you're here. Diane from South Florida. Kathy, welcome in. Hello from Belgium, says Geert. Welcome in from Belgium. I was in Belgium last summer. Well, this most recent summer. Absolutely loved it. Wish I could have spent even more time there. So thank you for being here. Jay Altman says one of his favorite trades is on NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons we're so focused on it today, right, is there's so much volume there. So many people are talking about it. Everybody, there's so many people saying hi that I can't say every single name, but we are so glad you're here. Um, some questions already coming into the chat. Cyrus says NVIDIA is a promising stock for those who are long-time investors. I like to play this stock for quick profit, not a long-time investor. I think you'll hear some takes that mirror that pretty closely today as well. Some of our guys are buy and hold all the way on NVIDIA, and some of them are looking to make a quick trade on earnings today. So, you're going to hear both sides of the argument there, and I'm really excited for it. I love the strategies you're going to hear. So, yeah, I think what you said makes a lot of sense, Cyrus. Ellen from New York, welcome in. Harriet from Daly City, Leslie, welcome in to you as well. Terry, excuse me, says Meta and Google data centers are being built in Cedar Rapids, Iowa as well. Yeah, this amazing. I mean, this is going to do a lot, kind of the advancement of AI is going to change communities and put a lot of businesses in places. They talk a lot about the potential negative impacts of AI on jobs, but it's going to create a lot of jobs too and a lot of new opportunities for people. Julie says hello from Ann Arbor. Lars from Stockholm. We got a lot of Northern Europe representation today. So welcome in from Stockholm. Glad you are here. Jim from California. Jim, welcome. I feel like I see you on every single event we do almost. So glad you are here. Great to have you. Art and Janet from the PNW, Pacific Northwest, welcome in. Michael asks, is NVIDIA buying out a small cap? I can't speak anymore. We will get that answer for you in a little bit. And Sarah's tuning in now. Sarah, welcome in. Glad you're here. I can't hear you currently, but that may just be me. So, folks, can you hear Sarah? Let us know in the chat. And
Can
if
you hear
it's,
me now?
oh, there you are. Yep.
I had my mic muted.
There we go. How are you doing? Glad to.
All right. I seen tons of people in the chat. You got them going, Steven. I
Yeah.
love the energy in the room.
Yeah, I love this too. So many people. I think I've seen practically every state at this point, which is exciting, and several other countries. Vancouver, Canada. Welcome in, Robert. Glad you are here. Yeah, I'm glad you're here too, Sarah. I know you had a crazy busy morning, so thank you for making time for this. Super excited for what you're going to share and getting all these guys to share their best insights.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you guys asking in the chat, this is recorded. We are live on YouTube, so the recording will be there for you guys.
But just, as a fair warning to everyone, there will be some very actionable information shared, especially a little later. We're going to do a live trading session before the close. And a lot of those, you kind of have to be there in the moment to be able to take advantage of, which isn't to discourage you. I know everybody's got busy schedules, but just be aware that there will be some things that may not be as actionable in the recording. I think there will be buckets of value there no matter what, but just so that people are fully, clear-eyed about some things may be just actionable before today's close at 2:30 or at 4. I'm looking at the current time, not the close time, but at 4 p.m. So Phil says hi. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you for being here, Phil. We really, love doing this. Honestly, I live for moments like this. Um, Thomas says, woke up from night work early for this. Well, thank you, Thomas. We appreciate that. Hopefully you have a good night when it starts. Somebody, uh, hey, Nate, how are you doing? Somebody making jokes about the current crisis and, between Canada and the US. But welcome in, Nate. Glad you're here.
Hello, Steven. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I have the default log on with my camera, so can't even really avoid it.
Oh, I
My
didn't
face
mean
is
to
hitting
call.
people as soon as I log in, whether they like it or not.
I didn't mean to call you out if you need to take a minute to prepare, but glad you are here.
Oh, look, he got Graham on camera too.
Look at
Kevin's
that.
sitting
Calling
back
them
up.
out.
He didn't want to be left out.
You did a nice job with those slides there earlier on those. Well
Thank you.
done.
Thank you. I'm learning from the greats like you and Nate,
Oh, look at the dynamic duo we got now too. This is
Oh, wow.
this is really happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham and I are very far apart right now. We're separated by just this wall right here behind us.
It was
So
Kane and Roger to your
Yeah.
left.
there we go.
Let me just
There-
change the
there-
name here. Can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah, we can
Beautiful,
hear you.
Roger.
Can
All
you
right.
the
I'll shut
question?
up and let Steven and Sarah answer the question, so six people aren't answering every question at the same time.
Can you say
Probably a good
something to make
idea.
sure they can hear you?
Yeah, it's volume check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, Ken. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, loud and
Yeah.
clear. Just wanted to make sure we could hear you.
Yeah,
Good.
you sound great.
Yeah, we already have a few folks here who are here for the class tomorrow. Already sitting in our room. It'll be a lot of fun. Graham, come afterwards and say hello. I see that you're in your office.
Yeah.
Stop by and say hello.
Roger, you didn't tell me you were going to be at the beach today. It's not fair.
Well, I gotta have some fun around here, right?
Awesome. Awesome. Exciting. Shout out to Graham's haircut from Michael in the chat as well. So want to make sure that got broadcast out to 800 folks.
Oh, not shout out to
Yeah.
Lance's haircut on that note, by the way.
Wow, the shots are firing early,
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Who's that? Am I even on video?
Well, your palm is on video.
I don't want to log in the computer, to be honest, because I have the computer. I'm too busy. I hate saying that, but it's true. But I'm buying some Big Bear calls or some BBWI calls if anyone wants to take an earnings bet. Where's my video, Steven?
You're
I
on
don't see you.
Under your hand.
Your hand blocking it?
I don't know how to do the video. I might have to go on my computer.
We can see you fine. I just don't know. Yes,
Doesn't seem like you can hear us.
maybe
Yeah.
not here either. Yeah,
Kane and Roger at the beach.
there you go.
Oh, there I am.
Can you hear us, Lance?
Yep, I got you
Oh.
guys.
Cool. There you go. Look at that. Looking great. Welcome in, Jack, also. Glad you
Thank
are here.
you.
Very excited to
Thank
hear what you have to share.
So am I.
We'll find out together. That's
Hey,
the
Jack, good to see you here.
Hey, Roger, how are you?
Good, good. It's been a while. How's
Been
life
a
treating
while.
you?
It's treating me good. You're looking good.
Thank you. Kane and I are at the beach, as you could see,
Nice.
getting some rays.
Hello, Kane. Yeah.
That's one of the fun
Steven?
things about doing this job. I didn't even know Kane was going to be in town. He just walked around a corner this morning and there he was. It's like magic.
Yep.
All the way from
Yep.
California. So thanks for coming in, Kane. I know you guys have a big event tomorrow that you're both excited about. So can't wait for that as well.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow, it's already 2:30, almost time to kick this off for everybody. Sarah, you're going to be running the show here, so I don't want to talk over you. I want to let you take over. But welcome everybody once again. I'll just say, really excited. I just ran through, kind of why I think this is such a big deal for the markets. I know Nate is going to reiterate some of that and just talk about how really, there's a good argument that the markets as a whole can go either way based on how Nvidia responds today. And I'm sure we'll have some good, healthy debate about that. So thank you everyone for being here. Kane, Roger, Graham, Lance, Nate, and Jack, and Sarah. I will kind of fade into the background and let you take it away from here because it's time to get started.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, like Stephen said, welcome everyone. This is a special live roundtable event. We're going to dive into one of the most highly anticipated earning reports, NVIDIA. It's going to happen after the close of today's market. Like Stephen mentioned, my name is Sarah Sananen, and I'll be your host for today, guiding you through an action-packed session with some of the top trading minds all in one place. Before we dive in, let's do a quick 30-second round of introductions. We have with us today Roger Scott. Hello.
Hello there.
Hi, we have Lance Ippolito. All right, we have Kane Shea.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, we have Graham Lindman.
Hey guys.
We have Jack Carter.
Hello.
And we have Nate Tucci.
Hello, everyone.
All right, and of course, a huge shout out to all of you guys who are tuning in live. Like Stephen said, drop a comment in the chat if you haven't already. You let us know where you're watching in from. And why don't you share what's most exciting about what you're looking for in today's session? Do that. Now, let's go over the agenda real quick for today, and I'll post that in the chat as well. All right, first thing we're going to kick off is a discussion on NVIDIA's earnings report and what that means for the broader market. Each expert that we have here is going to give their take on how they're approaching this event. Then we have a special surprise. Graham has identified a specific NVIDIA entry opportunity that could trigger tomorrow after earnings are out. Now, after that, we're going to head into, this is what Stephen was talking about, a live trade room where at least 3 of our experts will be recommending specific real money NVIDIA trades that you can consider. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the Q&A sessions where I'll be rapid firing all of your top questions to our experts here. Now, before we jump in, just a quick reminder again, this is a live session, so be sure to engage, drop your questions in the chat. Myself, Deanna, and Steven are here looking at that like a hawk, so we can go ahead and answer them at the end. So let's dive right in. Roger, let's start with you. What is your take on NVIDIA's earning and its impact on the market?
Well, NVIDIA has a very large impact on the market. There's no real question about that. It's a very large cap. It's part of the mega caps, and it's not only does it have a major impact on the market, it also has a major impact on liquidity and what institutions do with their money in other stocks, and it also has a major impact on the entire SMH complex. So it is a very, very influential stock at times, I believe. So there's no question that what's going to happen tomorrow is very, very important. But there's a lot of other factors driving that we have to take a look at that are involved in this analysis. And I think what a lot of folks are doing is they're kind of looking at NVIDIA earnings and thinking, okay, they're focused on what's the number going to be, what the reaction is going to be, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. And I think the bigger picture right now is I think what we're not seeing and what is not happening is equally as important as what is happening. And that's actually something that I wanted to talk about. Do I have a few minutes to get into that?
Sure, I'll give you one.
All right. Well, basically what I believe that the reactions from the mega caps have not been very pronounced in the last several quarters. They've been actually kind of mellow. We've been kind of consolidating. They've been getting less and less and less. Also, earnings expectations from the mega caps have been getting smaller and smaller. I don't know if people have realized or not, but this earnings season, we have not had a big reaction from any of the mega caps. We've had big reactions from other stocks, but not from the mega caps. Microsoft didn't have a reaction. Intel didn't have a reaction. None of these stocks had a reaction. Netflix had a minor reaction, but it's $1,000 stock. Point being is, I believe that I think the analogy is very similar to kind of what is happening with the Fed right now. And I'll explain it to you guys. And I'm not going to talk about the Fed. I'm only using it as an analogy. Right now, what we're seeing with NVIDIA, or what we're seeing with all the major large caps, is markets move and exhibit volatility when something is relevant or more relevant than not. Let me give you an example, and the Fed is a perfect example of that, okay? About a year ago, when we didn't know if the Fed is going to make a move, impact of those rate announcements was huge. Jobs reports, bonds would go up a full 2 basis points. Right now, we don't have a lot of expectations from the Fed. So the announcements now are much more subdued than they were a year ago, because right now we know that pretty much nothing's going to happen. They're not going to do anything. So the big question with NVIDIA is, what are the expectations? What are we expecting? And are we expecting a big move? Now, if we go back to NVIDIA and if we go back to what their CEO has been saying for the last several months or quarters, not months, but quarters, we're doing great. We're the head of the AI. Everything's great with AI. Okay, next quarter, we're still doing great. We're the head of the AI, but AI is slowing down a little bit. Next quarter, not only is AI slowing down, we're still doing great, but we're slowing down ourselves a little bit. So the trajectory from NVIDIA has changed. In other words, I don't think NVIDIA is expected to do anything crazy right now. I don't think there's anything on the horizon. So what I think most people think is that there's going to be a very big reaction. What I think is there's not going to be a big reaction. Right now, NVIDIA is implying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're implying about 8% move in their price, 8 to 9%.
Yep.
I could check that, but I think that's some right in that ballpark. And that's a pretty big move, especially for the price of the stock. So what I think is going 10, okay, 10 now, let's say between 8 and 10%, not 20%, not 18%. So my point is that we're starting to see less a compression in expectations as well. Also, most chip stocks are not seeing the reactions they were seeing two, 3 quarters ago. So, and lastly, and I'll just cap it at this before I get into my technical analysis. Lastly, if you look at chip demand, if you look at like companies like DLR, storage facilities, server farms, they've been doing this. They've been declining precipitously. There's less demand for it right now. So, in my opinion, the reaction is not going to be as great. Now, as far as technicals, and I'll show you very, very quickly, and then I'll move on. Let me show you this real quick here. Take my screen. Can I have the screen share for just a second? Is that okay?
Please,
Sure.
yeah.
It says I have to request it. Steven, is it you?
I apologize.
There we go. You
Yeah.
got to watch that, Steven. He's very frisky, very, very frisky. Okay, let me just show you very quickly. And, sometimes they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let me show you a picture. Let me show you a picture. This is a nice picture, but that's not the one. Here. This is NVIDIA last night. See the X I drew? If NVIDIA continues respecting this channel, X marks the spot right here. So that's technically what I'm expecting. Doesn't mean it has to happen tomorrow, but if NVIDIA doesn't exceed expectations and doesn't break this area over the next couple of sessions, we're gonna head down here, all right? And X marks the spot. And then even if we hit that level and come up here, unless we break this level, we need to break 145 in order for me to become bullish on NVIDIA once again. It has to break out of the structure. We've been in the structure for quite some time. Structures like to continue till they're broken. And usually they like to traverse all the way across. And you see the X marks the spot? X marks the spot. That's my opinion on NVIDIA. And again, so not a big reaction and potentially more downside before going higher.
All right. No, awesome. Thank you so much. I want to hand things over to Lance now. Lance, what's your take on NVIDIA?
I'm personally not really looking at it. Like Roger said, the implied move, that would give it like right around that 8% range. Basically the at the money straddle is about $11.50. Stock's around 130. So if you want to get directional, and this is, I don't know if I could grab the screen, but it's completely free. I always give it away for free. If anyone wants it, I'll post it in the chat. But if you want, and it's very easy to look at, and you can see here the market maker range. This is what I've been doing lately because I've actually been selling premium lately. So Jack, you'll love that.
Love it.
I've been selling premium the past couple days, and it's done very well. You can see the downside range is about 118.5. So that goes pretty much right to this prior support, right, where we built a base here. right around 118 and a half, even down to 115. So that's where they're basically pricing in the stock to go if it's a bearish report. This gap fill that we had was very weak. If you look at other stocks in the chip space, ever since that DeepSeek news out of China, a lot of stocks filled the gap. If you look at like Oracle, Avgo, stuff like that, but very weak on like light volume, not much at all. Your upside is literally to where the shares were trading a handful of days ago, 141 and a half. The stock last quarter had no move. This quarter had no move. So I think the market makers are jacking up the price of implied vol. Obviously, market's been volatile. But I personally, if I had to trade it, I would probably look at some neutral premium selling or play a crash play, or to be honest, play a correlated play, like, the SMH, which is a semiconductor ETF that a lot of people like trading. And it's real good for hedging too, because you don't have single stock risk. But if I was a betting man, which I am, and you're like, Lance, you got to put money on the line, I would play the downside, probably an SMH weekly puts. But besides that, I'm really looking at other stocks for earnings, just more advantage. Kind of like what Roger mentioned. It's such a big stock and has such a big weight. It's going to affect the market. Everyone's looking at it. And when everyone's playing the game, you really don't have much of an advantage unless you're, selling vol or selling premium. So I'll leave it to, those folks who come up with a strategy on that. I'm taking the hard pass.
All right. Well, great points from Lance. I want to go ahead and hand things over to Kane. What's
All
your
right.
take on it?
You need to
Thank
share
you.
the screen or-
No, I think I'll be okay with that, sharing the screen. So, like Lance and Roger were saying, yeah, a lot of eyeballs are on Nvidia, and it's not too big of a wonder because it is such a large cap. It's number 2 in the S&P 500 right now. And all last year, it was a driver in the markets. So the question is it still a driver in the markets? And when you have the S&P chopping sideways, what it's telling you is there's not a whole lot driving the market right now. So that Lance's lack of enthusiasm makes sense to me because it's not a driver in the markets right now. So there's what you want to do is look at where you are currently positioned if you have a position in Nvidia. I think a lot of people forget about that. They're like, oh, earnings, let's do a trade, and they forget to consider what's already in their portfolio. So if you have a position, if you have shares in Nvidia, or you have any sort of position, it doesn't matter if it's a spread or individual option, I would be thinking about hedging it because it is a volatile event. If you don't have a position and you want to go directional, or if you're longer term, then you might say, hey, I want to accumulate these shares. I think there's a good long-term prospect for Nvidia, which there is. So AI, is it going to be around? Is it going to continue? Yes. Is it as big of a deal as it was last year, or what everyone was making it out to be? Maybe not. But are we going to need more and more chips going into the future? And my answer to that is yes. You're going to see chips in more and more things. You're probably going to see chips in your shoes, counting your steps or whatever it is, right? So the market is there. They are the market leader. So the long-term prospects are good. So you could do something like sell a cash covered put if you wanted to open a position at a cheaper price. Or if you already had a position in Nvidia, then you could sell some call. I'm sure Jack can comment better on that. If you want to go directional on it, so Lance kind of gave us an idea that, hey, maybe he would be more inclined to go down, and Roger is also more inclined to go down because of the technicals. Well, we have to understand that an edge doesn't operate on a single trade. It operates on a series of trades. So if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to play Nvidia earnings, well, you better play Nvidia earnings next quarter and next quarter and next quarter and next quarter and next quarter also, so you can keep that edge and that edge can work for you. Otherwise, you're just betting on this one earnings, and that would be a gamble because the edge can't help you on a single trade. So if we're going to approach this as a gamble and we say, okay, well, I've got, it's a toss of the coin of whether it's going to go up or down, even though we have a feeling that it might go down. Well, we'll call that 50-50. So a lot of people don't realize that in an option, the direction isn't good enough. it's actually not 50-50 because you need to have the magnitude as well, the magnitude of that movement in order for you to get to that 50-50 chance. So if I just get the direction correct on an earnings trade, I don't have 50-50 odds. So it would be true if you went to the stock, yeah, you would have 50-50, but not on the option or any sort of option spread. So you have to find a way to make that trade a higher reward than the risk in order to balance out the fact that you don't have the 50-50 trade. If you just have a 1-to-1, it's not good enough. So if you did want to play earnings, which I'm in the same boat, I don't really want to trade earnings. I think Sarah said Graham has something after earnings. I think that's really smart, not before earnings. But if you did want to trade earnings, then you would look for something that gave you a better than 1-to-1 reward risk ratio, and you would find that at a move. And an example of that might be Lance gave that really cool indicator that showed you the market maker move. Well, what I can almost guarantee you without looking at the option chain is that for example, one ATR move is going to be well within inside that. So if you wanted to if you're of the same opinion that it might go down, you could do a debit spread at a one ATR move to the downside, and that should give you a better than 1-to-1 reward risk ratio. And that would balance out some of the fact that your odds of getting it right are not 50-50.
Okay. All right. And then Stephen, did you have something to share regarding Lance's new indicator?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out in the chat that Lance has just shared his indicator in the chat for Thinkorswim for earnings. So make sure you grab that. Both Deanna and I just shared that. Also, Kane, love that insight. I think that's something that really most people don't think about, the 50-50 odds on stock versus options. So I really appreciated hearing that as well. So just wanted to draw everyone's attention to that in the chat. And Sarah, I will let you take it away again.
All right. So far we've heard from Roger, Lance, and Kane. I do see your questions in the chat. We are just saving it for our Q&A session. If you have any questions, post them in the chat. If you guys are currently trading NVIDIA, just go ahead and drop NVIDIA in the chat. Just a quick check-in with you guys, and we're going to keep it moving with, let's see who I have here. Graham, what's your perspective?
Hey, well, I'll give you guys, I mean, let me take this screen over here. I don't want to beat the dead horse here. I'm not too crazy bullish on NVIDIA earnings. I am bullish long-term on the stock, just like sounds like everyone else. But like Lance said, like Roger said, last two earnings, it didn't move. I think they would have to absolutely blow everyone's minds, which is kind of an impossibility at this point for it to really jump really, really high and beat earnings, or as far as beating the expected move. I would look for more of a lateral play, maybe downside. If we're looking at the daily momentum using my Newton indicator, it's red. We're looking at the weekly, it's red, and this is the first time it's been red in like 2 years. So it's really slowed down a lot. It's starting to look like Microsoft out there. If you guys have seen Microsoft's chart when January 2023 through January 2024, the thing went crazy. And it went kind of sideways there just because the catalysts were all used up. I think we're kind of there right now in the short term with NVIDIA where the main catalysts are all used up. Long term, I think it's a great play. Some people are saying if I have shares, do we buy more? Well, I would bet, and I can't guarantee this, but I would bet that 10 years from now, NVIDIA is going to be worth a lot more money than it is today. So I think if you're looking long term, sure, buy some shares. For earnings move, I think it's going to need some sort of crazy catalyst to really pop. With that said, I'm going to pivot a little bit, look past earnings for us, kind of over the next 30 days. Number one, CapEx spending is still at all-time highs. We're seeing all of the big mega cap companies still go all in. Funny enough, Apple really hasn't even joined the party yet. So there's still more bullishness there. Outside of that, if we're just looking at the markets as a whole, and again, I wanted to pivot a little bit away from NVIDIA because I don't want to just say the same thing that we've already said, but I'm really bullish over the next 90 days or so, regardless of what NVIDIA does. If you look at the RSI on the SPY, every time it's gotten below 40, it's dipped, gone right back up. We just got below 40 yesterday. We're probably still under there today. Now, it could go lower. I've been telling you guys in my opening playbook 10 a.m. sessions on Thursdays that my target for entry was 585 on the SPY. I think we got within $4 of that. So it could go lower. We could be at the bottom. Either way, we're looking at a really, really great buying opportunity at the moment. One of my favorite buy signals, and it's kind of contrarian or almost funny, CNN runs this fear and greed index. I always tell people when we hit that extreme fear level, you probably want to look to be buying. We just hit that yesterday for the first time in a while. That's typically a good buy sign. If we're looking at seasonality, this is really interesting. Over the next 3 months, seasonally speaking, every single sector is positive. There's not one negative sector from March to May. And this is, I believe, over the last 50 years. Let me see if there's a date down here. So 1990, not 50 years, 1990 till now, every single sector over the next 3 months, 90 days, seasonally positive. It's very bullish. If we look just at the S&P as a whole, all 3 months, seasonally positive, March, April, May. So we got 2 days left in February, but then we get into this kind of hot cooking mode. And you might think this year is different. We've got Trump. Obviously, the tariffs thing really throw a frenzy in the market, a lot of volatility there. We saw that today with the markets giving up their nice gains, unfortunately. But if we're looking at presidential cycle seasonality, so this is if you're looking at the seasonality over the last, since 1949 to the last 70 years of a new presidential cycle, year one, this is where we are. January, February, some volatility. Let me just move this real quick. I drew our little blue line here. This is what we've done this year. So slightly better, but kind of falling in line with this dip going up, fall through February, and then what happens next? March, April, May, very, very bullish. So overall, I'm bullish on stocks. I don't expect Nvidia to blow it out of the park today and go up 20% overnight, but I do think that we're getting a really, really great buying opportunity right now. I wouldn't be sad if Nvidia fell on earnings and took the markets down a couple bucks with it, because I'm getting ready to really, really load up and increase my position size. Also, this is kind of hiding in the shadows at the moment, but we have Nvidia earnings after the bell today, and then GDP tomorrow, which again, this is a pretty major economic report to see how the U.S. economy is doing. It'll also affect kind of the interest rate decisions, what's going on there. And like Roger said, that's had less and less of an impact, but I think we're going to start to see this turn around full circle here as the year progresses. So that's something to keep in mind going into tomorrow. So I know I kind of avoided the Nvidia earnings, but I just don't see a ton of upside today. I see a lot of opportunity though over the next 3 months or so. And then tomorrow morning, if you guys want to, I'll be doing a recap of Nvidia earnings at 10 a.m. as well in my opening playbook, and we can kind of catch up there and see where we're at.
All right, awesome. Sounds good. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, catch Graham on his opening playbook so he can give you some more insights on that. To keep things moving, I want to turn things over to Jack. How are you? What are your
Thank
thoughts?
you. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody here. Now, question. Did you ever see the movie The Wedding Crashers?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a scene in that movie when Owen Wilson goes and visits Will Ferrell, and Will's at his house, and he's talking to him, and he's into the the funeral scene and all this, and Owen Wilson is just amazed by this whole story, and Will Ferrell says, "Hey, you want some meatloaf?" And he says, "Yeah," and he turns around and says, "Mom, the meatloaf!" He's yelling at her. "We want it now!" And that's the Nvidia shareholder. He wants the meatloaf now. He doesn't want to wait for the next earnings to come out. He wants it now. Not happening. It's impossible for them to surprise anybody with earnings. It's been just analyzed too heavy. But here's the kicker: it's not going to be in the actual earnings report. It's going to be in the guidance. That's always the trigger now, right? Like you see Caterpillar talking about, oh, we had the biggest backlog in orders we ever had going into the earnings. And then during the guidance, the guy says, yeah, we have that backlog, but it's not as big as it was. And even though Cat crushed earnings, the stock dropped like a rock. So it's really not about the earnings. It's about making the investors happy with that earnings number. I think it's going to be good. But it's going to be in the guidance and what they say going forward. But you got to consider a couple things. It's kind of a misunderstood company. They have a stranglehold on a lot of parts of this business, autonomous stuff, 30 out of 30, robotic car manufacturers doing that stuff. They all rely on Nvidia. They've developed software in addition to the chips. They don't even make the chips. The data center, the full stack stuff, the whole thing. There's no unique shortage of this stuff that they have. And this is the kind of innovation that's not going to go away. And that's the story with NVIDIA. Its innovation is incredible. Other companies can make chips. They're not going to get ahead of this guy. So I take the analogy like at the horse track when I was a kid. My Uncle John would take me there, and we're looking at the horses, and he'd give me $10 to bet, and I'm looking at the one with the longest tail or the best color and all this stuff, and I say, "Hey, how do you bet on him?" And he says, "Jack, I only bet on the jockey." And I thought that was amazing. I lost all of my $10 like in the first two races. He walked out of there with about $1,000. So I think of that now when I think about my bet. I'm long Nvidia. Everybody knows that, but my bet is on the jockey, and that's my bet, and I'm sticking with it. Now, for any of you guys that are worried about Nvidia, if you got a huge profit in it, consider buying a married put. Right today before the close. Just look at where is Nvidia at. Buy a put with a strike price there or even higher. And if Nvidia crashes, you'll be able to sell that thing tomorrow. And that's really what I got for. I got a little more if you come back around to me, but let's keep it rolling for now.
All right. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Even Adam said you hit it right on the nail when you said guidance will rule.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and wrap up the roundtable discussion before we move into a few other things. We're not done yet. Just the discussion part of things, and we'll turn things over to Nate. Where are you with NVIDIA? You are muted, Nate.
Hold on. I know how to work Zoom, I promise. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. By the way, Billy said Jack and Roger are legends. I don't know why the rest of us aren't legends, but here's my prediction. I wanted to share this with everyone so you could take some notes. I thought this would be helpful just to get all those details down and know exactly what I'm predicting. But yeah, I mean, I really have no idea. I think as we've all shared, there's a lot kind of going on, a lot to write in. Now, here's one thing I'd like to say. I think it's impossible that AI is a bubble. It's just a matter of whether NVIDIA is google.com or it's pets.com as this thing rolls out. I always find it funny when people talk about like the internet bubble because the internet never was a bubble. It's always been way more valuable than anyone could have ever possibly valued it back then. It was just the market actors got stuck. They overhyped it, in the short term from an actual trading standpoint, but they never overvalued the internet. They undervalued it by 100-fold. Same thing's true with AI. We might get a quote unquote stock bubble, but we're not going to overvalue AI. And so if you believe NVIDIA is more like google.com of 2000 versus pets.com, which I think most of us do, it's probably going to be a pretty good long-term play, just a matter of what happens in the short term, right? Which is what we're all here to talk about. Now, either way, I do think NVIDIA is going to be the best short-term and medium-term indicator for the stock market right now. So just over the next, couple weeks, I think it's a great tool just to gauge sentiment and where people really are, how excited and optimistic they are. Now, the speculative bets are already flying in just today so far. This is literally just today, 2.7 million in options on NVIDIA, just absolutely rolling in. A little over, 60% are on the call side, which isn't too shocking because, NVIDIA tends to bring out that optimism. But as Jack kind of alluded to, I don't think NVIDIA's report really matters a whole lot. I'm not watching for the actual numbers, but I do think the response relative to the numbers and what they say kind of forward looking, because at the end of the day, it's an AI stock. It's a speculative stock. It's all about hype. It's all about potential is where it's going to matter. So just to give you a couple guidelines, kind of the way that I'm looking at it, I don't know if this is helpful, but just if you want to kind of keep an eye on what I'm watching, I would say if NVIDIA has a big beat and higher guidance and they smash, that shows a shocking level of optimism that I do not think we're going to see in the market. I would be absolutely shocked if we got that. If they just get above this recent high, 145, okay, optimist. That at least just crack by the recent high, which they probably should if things are good. Literally just there a couple days ago. If they kind of remain, up a couple bucks, probably a neutral reaction, kind of what you'd expect. And if NVIDIA goes down on a big beat and higher guidance, well, it shows that things are ugly. The market really is as scared and panicked as it looks. Same kind of thing on neutral. If it goes up at all, a lot of optimism. If it's kind of in between a couple bucks, 2-3 smaller move, probably neutral. If it's below 125, fear, which I think we're already seeing, and kind of what you'd expect if the market continues to fall. And then if NVIDIA has a bad report and lower guidance, which I really think there's almost no chance the actual numbers will be bad. I put that at an incredibly low chance. But like Jack said, they might lower guidance. They might kind of give people the brakes a little bit on guidance. And in that case, if Nvidia goes up at all, that's shocking optimism. If Nvidia stays neutral, if they give kind of a lower guidance and they stay kind of neutral, to me that makes people think, yeah, we're selling off, but the bottom kind of is in. We're good. The discount is big enough. Let's not like sell the crap out of this thing. If it goes down a couple bucks, probably neutral reaction. And if it goes lower than the expected move, that's probably, again, confirmation that this is an ugly market. People are scared. People are looking to sell. And you'd see that if they kind of went below even the expected move to the downside. Now, beyond the initial reaction, I think watching the rest of the week is going to be a really good clue for us. So if Nvidia does pop, do you see people just start taking profits immediately because they think, oh, we caught lightning in a bottle, let's get out of here. Do you see that, or do you see people kind of holding on, waiting for continued upside? If it drops, do we see huge institutional level buying as soon as it drops, saying, hey, Nvidia is too good of a value, can't let it go, let's step in? Or do you actually see them kind of back off and let it continue to go lower, which I think would be a clear signal that the market is just not ready for a rip back to highs yet? This market has been incredibly resilient since the beginning of 2023. Every 3 and 5% correction, even when we got that like 12% correction in the course of 2 weeks, we've had incredible buying step in and hit new highs within a month. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of repeats here. And I think NVIDIA, once again, is a great clue for if that's going to be the case. So my personal actions, nothing on the stocks I own, holding shares, not doing anything, taking a page out of Jack's book that I think he's going to cover a little bit here with a little bonus action for you at the end. If you are holding shares, or if you want to own shares and you want to take advantage of those super expensive options, what do you do? Kane talked about the implied move and what it takes to win on a regular option. Jack's going to talk about flipping that on its head here, I think. And that's what I'm doing as well with the shares that I own. So stole that one from Jack. And then very importantly, I'm going to reassess it on Friday's close. So what does the week look like? Not what does an hour after the market close today look like, but what does the weekly candle look like on NVIDIA? And then I got one kind of high risk trade, which Kane actually alluded very similar to what I'm going to do with my trade already. But I'll cover that as we kind of get back into the live trading stuff in a little bit here.
All right. Awesome. Well, now we have some questions for you guys. This one is for any of you. Do any of you think the tariff scare has an effect on NVIDIA as well as many other stocks? If so, how long before that goes away, all stocks move?
Good question. Can I start on that one?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it absolutely has an impact on the stocks. What it does is the uncertainty surrounding the tariffs causes investment funds and hedge funds to slow down their trading, and because there's increased unforeseeability. So it's actually very detrimental, but not in a direct way, but in an indirect way. And it could also be in a direct way, assuming there will be something concrete in place. But right now, it's a really bad position we're in because we're circling the unknown. We know something's going to happen, but we don't know exactly when and what. That is like the worst thing for the market ever, because the market keeps second guessing itself.
It loves certainty, and it doesn't have certainty.
Thank you, Jack. So exactly. And I think it has a huge effect. It has a big effect. And one of the reasons why we're seeing subdued volatility is specifically because of this whole tariff mishigas that we're seeing in the market right now.
I just want to mention, the DeepSeek thing obviously was one of the big cruxes for this.
Deep fake, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
Deep doo-doo. Yeah.
Deep fake, my man.
There's a couple reasons I don't think it matters a whole lot. Number one, I don't believe any of the information around it, so I don't think any of that is legitimate. But number two, I don't really fundamentally understand the risk, even if it's partially legitimate. We're not talking about a company that has built a supply chain and a network and custom. Like, I don't really understand why, hey, we built this other thing is necessarily going to, impact NVIDIA's upside or potential. Like Jack said, they've got a stranglehold on all the business elements of what produces profit. So I think it's kind of a non-issue. It could develop into something, but at the current time, I think it's a non-issue. And then the last thing I want to say is someone said I needed to start shaving before I could be a legend, and that's why I wasn't included in the legend. I want to say I haven't started shaving yet, but I do have 7 children, so that has to at least get me up a couple notches.
That gets you the first letter, okay?
He does. He does have 7 children. Yeah.
You're a legend for
You're
another
a
reason.
legend. Yeah, you have a different, you're a legend for a
Fatherhood.
different reason.
All right, well, that will lead us into our next question. I don't see how that does, but we're just going to move on. We do have a question from SM saying, do you think they're going to announce a buyout and what stock that might be?
No way. Maybe a new product, but no buyout.
No, if you read something like that, that's probably just a penny stock pumper.
Yeah, they do invest in other companies. That's one of the weird things about them. You know,
Yeah.
this is kind of a new thing for some of these high tech companies is to invest in competition and invest in companies like them. And Nvidia does that every time you read they buy or sell something. Everybody piles into or out of the same stock. So it's just interesting. You know, they have a stranglehold on innovation as well in that industry, which is why, you know, I love the thing. So
You know, their
that's that.
CEO just met with Trump too the other
Yeah.
week. No one's really talking about that, but their CEO went to the White House, met with Trump. Trump said they had a good conversation and everything. So I don't know if that's you take that as a positive sign that no like doomsday is going to happen, but like kind of Jack said, they're the king of the mountain, and when you have the CEO meeting with the president and stuff, who knows what happens behind closed doors.
All right. I have another question from Caroline. She says, can you still invest in Nvidia today and expect high earnings?
And expect what?
High earnings?
I don't know if you could expect high earnings, but I think you could buy it any day and every day.
I think there's nothing wrong with buying Nvidia for a long-term investor for the next 5, 10, 15 years. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, I think what we're talking about here is maybe the next week or two, the reaction of earnings.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, we're talking short-term time frame here. We're kind of all speculating on what will happen right after the earnings, or maybe the next 72 hours. But I personally think Nvidia is one of the best companies in the world to invest in for long term.
Well, and
I think so. Go ahead, Nick.
So I was going to say, if you guys hang out for a little bit longer, Jack's going to give you a playbook for how to both invest and kind of protect for income in the short term. That combination, because that's really what Jack is really good. He did this with Google, where Google had some really volatile months and even years, but you still want to own the stock, but you don't want to sit there on the sidelines if it has a bad earnings or a bad month. So make sure you hang on for that. For anyone who's asking the question like, should I own Nvidia long term or what's the play long term? Definitely stick around for Jack's kind of like bonus blueprint here, because it's going to walk you through. I don't think we're legally allowed to say a win-win-win scenario, but as close as you can get to that with Nvidia.
Yeah, I see Lisa's question. Is anybody going to address Jensen selling off his stock? And I'll just tell you, he has to. He has to sell it because he has too much of it in his compensation plan. That's just the way it went. So he has to sell it. I mean, he has no real choice. But the amount he sells is nothing compared to the appetite for the stock. So that's one key thing. You know, when investors buy or sell, I never take that as an indication if an insider is selling, then it's bad for the company. He may be selling for a million reasons: pay for a divorce, buy a new boat, pay his taxes. Who knows? That's not always a negative indication. So, you know, with him, that's part of his compensation. He's got to sell it. I'd do the same thing. No matter how much he's selling every day, it wouldn't even matter. I'd be doing the same thing and take advantage of all the value he's built into the company.
It's funny.
And just to, go ahead, Graham. Go ahead.
I was going to say, with the insider selling it, Palantir, similar thing. I showed this to everyone last week. There has been 0 insider buys over like the last year and a half on Palantir. It's all sells, and the thing's gone parabolic. So with a stock like Nvidia that's gone parabolic, it's very normal. There's nothing wrong with it.
On these real big companies, like the large market cap companies, and you see insider selling, that's not going to move the stock. It's usually part of compensation, of that, where they're forced to. If it's a small cap company, a real small stock, think of like maybe like an Urban Outfitters retailer or something like that, or like a Gap stores, or some small company with not a huge market cap. Then you'll have more of an impact from insider buying or selling. Maybe they want to cash out, but you have to figure these people in these large companies, Palantir, Nvidia, Facebook, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Selling
or billions of dollars, selling 20, 30 million a stock is, nothing to them.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I did some back studies several years ago, some mechanical studies that analyzed like a bunch of stocks to see the impact of insider selling, and I did not find any edge there at all. And I think we looked at like hundreds and thousands of samples over like 15, 20 years. I did not find anything there at all on large caps. So yeah, I don't think that's a good gauge of anything at all.
Okay, now I do have a question here. It says, what does NVIDIA mean for the other chip stocks?
That's why I just mentioned on Telegram that 10,000 put buyer on the weekly SMH puts. Instead of, you could do correlated trades, like you can say, well, if Nvidia goes down, Avgo, TSM will go down. That's, basically companies that are one-to-one correlated. Or, in my opinion, why not just stick to the ETF, which Nvidia has such a big portion of the SMH. I prefer that personally than, trying to time, because what happens, you have to think, what if you buy Intel puts tomorrow, thinking Nvidia goes down, Intel's down initially, and then pre-market, Intel gets bought out, or Intel has some new CEO news or something, the stock's up 10%. Well, you were right in that Nvidia went down and semis will go down and Intel went down, but then, you got it wrong still, right? With the single stock news. So usually you'll have, hedging instruments and ETFs and stuff like that. So just, I personally wouldn't get too cute with it and try to, time another correlated play when, why not just do the ETF that's going to move pretty much at a very similar correlation.
Also, there's a lot of ETFs. There's probably 50 to 100 ETFs that have a bunch of semiconductors all led by NVIDIA. So they have to arbitrage that against NVIDIA in order for it to remain at fair value. So that will just cause so much correlation with the others. It's just not worth it. If you were to measure correlation between chip stocks and NVIDIA, I'm guessing it's probably close to about 70%, maybe even more. So it's not worth doing. Chip stocks are very insensual. Some sectors are not, but chip stocks are very, very, like real estate stock, home builders, chip stocks, solar stocks, they really tend to move together. So you're gonna have a lot of exposure if you have other chip stocks, even if you don't have NVIDIA.
All right, awesome. Well, we have a lot of questions. A lot of them are going to be answered by the end, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, those watching and for those of you on the panel here. I want to go ahead and turn things over to Graham, because we talked about earlier how we're going to break down a specific NVIDIA setup that could trigger right after earnings. So big thank you to Kane, Roger, Lance, Nate, Jack, Graham. They're going to stick around, and we'll resume questions a little bit at the end. For those who need to take their leave can do so now, but let's turn things over to Graham.
Yeah, and stick around, guys, because we still have 45 minutes till the markets close. I think we're going to do some live trading here. A couple of minutes, so don't miss out that. Now, obviously, NVIDIA has earnings today. Big report, right? Everyone's looking at, all eyes on it. I think we heard panel wide that we don't expect too much of a crazy move, but we'll see. We'll see. But depending what they say, and again, I showed you guys why I'm looking past tomorrow over the next 3 months, very, very bullish on the stock market. And I believe we could see another acceleration cycle on NVIDIA before these markets are peaked out for a while. So I'm talking about the most bullish breakouts on one of the most powerful stocks in the world, NVIDIA. Now, thanks to many months spent researching, extensive backtesting, and late nights working out the kinks of a system, my team and I have found a way to isolate powerful acceleration cycles on NVIDIA, and we just do it over and over again. I just wait for my custom coded candlesticks to flip from red to yellow to green, and green means go for us, and then we can just place a quick trade to follow along. And when they've worked out, they've shown the power to pay doubles, even triples, time and time again. For example, let's look at the acceleration cycle that popped up all the way back in 2022, right on the heels of the bear market. So we're thinking NVIDIA's choppy now, not really going anywhere now. Well, it was actually worse back in 2022. At the time, NVIDIA was down 60% from the peaks. Now, most folks probably wouldn't have touched the stock with the 10-foot pole, but right on time, NVIDIA's candle flipped from red to green. You see it right there, red, yellow, green, and that meant an explosive acceleration cycle was about to kick off on NVIDIA. Now, anyone who would have taken 2 quick minutes to set the trade could have come back to this, a 215% gain on the options in about 2 weeks' time, 215% on Nvidia. Or how about the acceleration cycle back in February? Now, this was back when the talking heads were calling it overbought, due for a pullback. You guys see all the news there. It's about half the price that it's at right now, so they were all dead wrong. But my indicators picked up on an acceleration cycle kicking off on Nvidia, and that meant not one, but two things for you guys. It meant, number one, there's a darn good chance that Nvidia was about to go higher and higher. As a matter of fact, it's worked out about 80% of the time the candles turn green, Nvidia goes higher. So really good chance there. And number two, maybe more importantly, folks waiting on a pullback. If you're listening to the news and thinking, I'll just wait for a pullback, well, you'd never actually be able to buy Nvidia for $70 again. And had anyone taken advantage of this Nvidia acceleration cycle the way I trade it, could have seen a massive 339% gain on Nvidia options again in about 2 weeks' time. And then the next acceleration cycle rolled around days later. Anyone who took advantage of this one could have seen another triple 209% gain on the options. So just 500 bucks plopped into that first one could have paid out $1,695. It's just a small $500 investment. If you started with a little bit more, maybe 5,000, that would have been worth $16,950 in profit. And let me be very clear here. I'm not talking about guessing on an earnings play here. Actually, I'm going to wait until after earnings to see what the acceleration cycle looks like, to see if we're going bullish or bearish from here. And then we can place our trade after the news has already come out. So let me show you how it works and how you could get in on the newest signal right away without breaking the bank. Now, you may have noticed that the candlesticks on my charts are either red or they're yellow or they're green, right? We can all see that there. And that's a custom code I developed to map out these acceleration cycles on NVIDIA with just a quick glance. So just by looking at the colors, we can easily tell if we're in, right? If it's green, we're going long. If we're on deck, that's yellow. Yellow, we're just on the sidelines. Or if we're out of the trade completely, then that's when you see those red candles. Now, these acceleration cycles are so powerful that they've been able to take the profit potential sky high. In essence, my system is designed to hone in on the most bullish moments for NVIDIA stock and cut out that garbage in between. So let's look at this chart here. Nice chart. There's some pullbacks. There's some chop along the way. Imagine cutting that out and just trading this green. It looks much more straight up and to the right. Now, I'll cover all of the finer details in just a moment, and I'll even give a handful of you a chance to download a copy of that indicator for yourself. Works great on all sorts of stocks. But first, let me show you how it worked in all market environments. So let's go back to 2020, COVID. We all remember this. Most people were terrified of the stock market, and for good reason too. You guys remember those headlines, right? We thought the world was about to end with COVID. But I promise you that this strategy, it doesn't care about what's going on in the world. It only tracks these high probability acceleration cycles on NVIDIA, and it does a really, really good job of it too. So my custom indicators flip the candles from red to yellow to green, and green means go, and that's a clear-cut buy signal for us. And if you had seen that signal and placed a trade the way that I like to take advantage of NVIDIA, again, you could have seen a 253% return on the options during that time period. Not bad, right? And after taking profits when we hit the optimized target, anyone could have easily checked in and saw that we were still in an acceleration cycle as the custom coded candles were still bright green. And anyone who would have followed along with this high conviction signal could have seen another nice triple digit win, 138% gain on NVIDIA. And on as NVIDIA recovered after the pandemic, my custom indicators would have picked up on each and every acceleration cycle along the way. That's awesome. But if you think that's good, wait until you see this. These custom indicators are so good at pinpointing these acceleration cycles on NVIDIA that it would have actually kept you out of the 2022 bear market completely, with the exception of one quick loser. Like I said, we're winning about 80% of the time, so there's going to be losers. But imagine cutting out all of this garbage, this 60% drawdown in NVIDIA, just by following along. And then it would have gotten us back in right at the bottom, an extremely well-timed buy. So you wrote it up here, sold at 280, and then you're back in here at 160. Not bad. And that trade, that very first trade there, would have ended up paying 215% in only 11 days. But it gets even sweeter, right? Trading to the upside is great, but a lot of us said, hey, maybe NVIDIA is going to head lower from here, right? Maybe we'll get a little bit deeper of a pullback. Well, as I'll show you in a moment, folks could have actually turned those red sections into monster returns as well. So here's the 2022 bear market. 308% gain on this first leg down, 889% gain here on this second leg down, just by trading puts instead of calls. So if you are bearish on Nvidia right now, if you think it's going down, this might be the perfect strategy for you. Because buying at the bottom, going long at the bottom is one thing, but essentially avoiding the meltdown altogether and even profiting from it, that might be more impressive in my opinion. And I realize those are some big results, but I try to be a big results type of trader. In 2021, I more than doubled my active trading account in about 6 months. There you see my Robinhood screenshot, posting north of 30,000 in profit. Last year, I doubled my 25K account as well. I ended up with almost 40,000 in profits, so about 150% return there on the options account. And some of my very best trades actually came from this same phenomenon on Nvidia. There you see my brokerage shots, traded it over and over and over again. So my hope is that today you can join in on the action too. And luckily with my custom indicators monitoring Nvidia around the clock, we don't have to wait years and years to chase after some remarkable results. We could catch our very first opportunity as soon as this very week. And again, to be extra clear, I'm going to wait until after the earnings reports so we know which direction we'll be trading. We don't want to guess. We don't want to gamble. We're going to let the play come to us. For example, like the 2 cycles that came back in March of 2024. The first one was when my custom indicators would have caught the new acceleration cycle starting on March 4th. Now, anyone who placed a quick trade to follow along on the shares, you would have made 4%, right? Not bad. 4% on the shares in a couple of weeks, not bad. But with my way of trading Nvidia, with the options, you could have seen 118% gain during that same time frame. That's a 1-week time frame, 118% gain. And then right after cashing out with a nice profit, locking in that gain, right? More than doubling your investment, lock it in. You could have entered the next signal right here, Monday, March 11th, candles green, we're going. And while Nvidia gained 10% over the next 2 weeks, anyone trading the options, how I personally do it, could have seen 273% over that time frame on the options. So over that 1 month period, Nvidia gained around 3.75% on the stock per week, or in other words, about 15% for the month. Now that would have been enough to take in $5,000 and churned a $750 profit during the month of March. Not bad, right? No one's going to complain about that. But had someone taken my style of trade, if you just took the calls with me instead, during that month, instead of seeing $750, folks could have seen $19,558 in under 1 month's time. And that's in profit. That's not compounding, nothing like that. Just straight up. Just apples to apples comparison here. About 26 times the bang for the buck. Again, we're not rolling the profits, not compounding. This is just plain old, just trading each trade as it comes. And that reminds me of what Charles B., one of my top students across my work, said. He said he was up $19,000 in a month. Keep it coming. Or Jack M., who just started working with me, he made $25,000. Now, those are some exceptional stories. Those are amazing. But that's a game-changing profit opportunity right there. And that's why I called this urgent meeting today. You see, this week, you can have your very first trade hand-delivered right to your email and cell phone. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Over the course of our first year of live trading, just 5K starting out, could have paid out $44,931. That's a 386% account growth in year one trading Nvidia, just Nvidia. And that's based on the real-time live signals that I've sent out to members, people just like you. That's without any sort of compounding, just a very basic trade. And we just check in each and every week. So folks like you have been crushing it too. David S. made $3,000. Roger S. made $4,000. Yeehaw. Jennifer said, hey, Graham, I'm up $5,000 on the Nvidia trade right now. And today I want to invite you to take the next trade with me without having to break the bank. So we're doing a little special today for the roundtable for NVIDIA Elite, one of my premier programs. So starting today and every week going forward, I'll send you the current NVIDIA Elite trade. I'll break down where we are in the acceleration cycle according to the charts, as well as the exact options that I'm buying for the trade. So no guesswork on your part. Then it's up to you if you want to take the trade. Like what folks could have seen back in January, a 261% gain there on the options. And then I'll check back in at the end of the week on Friday to let you know that if it's time to close the trade or if we're going to extend it again for even more gains. Again, everything will be sent to you in an easy to follow alert, and I'll go through it step by step. It'll come right to your email, right to your cell phone, and even Telegram, so you can't miss it. Just like the very next NVIDIA Elite trade that would have hit your inbox. Again, this one would have been another triple-digit win, 212% gain there. Now, if someone put $1,000 into that first trade and then pulled the initial investment, only rolling the profits, so the house money on that second trade, well, $1,000 could have paid out a cool $8,143 in 1 month of just following along with these NVIDIA acceleration cycles. And with that type of potential at hand, the value for this NVIDIA Elite program is sky high. But today, I have a special surprise to celebrate the NVIDIA Catalyst earnings, and it's going to cut the price down dramatically for anyone here in this room. And it really is a short-term special deal we're doing. So you can catch all of the details of the strategy in the masterclass where I cover every aspect of the indicators. Plus, I even cover the basics of this elite trade. That way you can apply the special form of options to your other strategies too. So you're going to get the alerts, you're going to get the training on how the indicator works, but that's not it. You're also going to get the options crash course. You're going to have a 16 module series with our top options coach to take you from beginner to pro. So if you're brand new to options, no worries, got you covered. Of course, you can always just trade the stock too. If you prefer to trade the stock, do that. That's perfectly fine. You're also going to get my wrap order masterclass included for free, the elite training for free, and the options calculators included for free as well. Now, another bonus here, and we talked about this briefly earlier, but the double dip downturns. Earlier, I told you that these red candlesticks can help keep us out of some terrible downturns, like we saw in the 2022 bear market. Well, I actually had our team run the same type of options that we use for the bullish trades, but instead of using calls, we just use puts when the candles are red. And I think the results speak for themselves. Actually, the 889% gain was one of the best returns we had over any stretch of period, bullish or bearish. Now, I'll send you these trades as a bonus for no extra charge as long as you take one of the memberships today. And this is a really important bonus to me because for some of you who think we're, about to head lower for the next year from here, well, wouldn't you like to make some money on the way down? That's my aim with this bonus versus just sitting on the sidelines. Now, like I mentioned, if you run the numbers from the first year of live trades, if you start out with 5K, never risking too much, never going all in on any long shot, and without compounding, if I did compounding, the number would be nuts. But without compounding, we're looking at a nice $44,931 in profit in year one. I think everyone would be okay to see that kind of return after a year of just trading NVIDIA every Friday, and that's it. Now, if you've attended my NVIDIA webinars in the past, you know that we're currently running this program at a minimum cost of $1,839 per year. I think that's the cheapest we've ever run it, which in my opinion is a steal of a deal, especially considering the results I've been able to help folks produce over their first year of trading. But because you joined me this afternoon for this special session here, I'm going to offer you a one-time special. So I want to give you a taste of NVIDIA Elite, and I don't want it to have to break the bank for you, knowing that once you get your hands on these trades, you'll probably want more down the road. So we're doing a 60-minute flash sale today, and I'm going to cut the cost down dramatically. I'm going to give you 3 months of access to try out NVIDIA Elite for yourself. And there's a real important reason why I wanted to do 3 months here, right? We talked about it earlier. Next 3 months, very, very bullish for the markets. Every sector is bullish. Seasonally, every single month over the next 90 days is bullish. The SPY is at the RSA. It's a great time to be entering. Presidential seasonality, very, very bullish. The timing is perfect for this 3 month deal, and it's going to give you a little taste of NVIDIA Elite. Keep in mind that the last year's gains totaled up $44,931 in profit, but it's not going to run you thousands of dollars. It's not going to be $2,000, not $1,839 like we're running it online right now. For the next 60 minutes, I'm taking the price of this elite trading experience to only $495 for 3 months access. That's 3 months, 90 days. That way you can get a taste of these NVIDIA Elite trades without breaking the bank. And your very first entry could come as soon as this very week. Every Friday, I will send you the entry exit alert. I'm always there with you every step of the way. I take these trades with my own money as well. So we'll be doing it together. And if you want to sign up for this, guys, go to prosperitypub.com/495 and you can lock in this 3 month special we're running today. It's not going to run you $2,000 right now, guys. Just get a taste of this NVIDIA Elite right now for a fraction of the cost. Again, I'm not going to be gambling on earnings today. I'm going to wait for the report to come to us. I'm going to wait for the trade to come to us, and then we can trade it to the upside or we can trade it to the downside just based on what the numbers are showing us. If you would rather call someone, give us a call, 904-706-3537, or simply click that link in the chat that I think Sarah and Steven just posted for you guys. Again, this is a great opportunity this very week to get started with NVIDIA Elite. And again, new trade as soon as this week, $495 special today. Can't make it any better than this. And guys, right now is the perfect time for us to be running this 90-day special. We have a 90-day, like triple confirmation for a bullish signal. All sectors bullish, presidential seasonality bullish, RSI at a buying opportunity. Guys, this is a really, really sweet time to get started with NVIDIA Elite. So I hope that you guys jump on board today. And again, you'll be getting your first trade alert this very week. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, is this stock or options? Well, of course, I'm going to give you the criteria for both, so you do whatever's most comfortable for you. Do I give entry alerts and exit alerts? Yes, guys. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to be sitting around the computer all day long wondering when it's going to come. It's very, very easy for you guys. Every Friday, typically before noon, every Friday, you're going to get your entry and exit alert. So you don't have to check your, you don't have to refresh your members portal on Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday. Just wait till Friday, guys. Very passive. Let it work for you in the background. And the results, though, are anything but passive. They're very, very exciting. You guys saw a real-time profit, not a back test, real money, real-time trades here. If you guys start with $5,000, not compounding, just taking the trade each week as it comes, $44,931 in year one. And keep in mind, guys, for a good chunk of that time, if you look at an NVIDIA chart, NVIDIA has been trending sideways. It's been choppy for months. So we're able to churn out this really, really healthy profit, even when NVIDIA is kind of stagnant or kind of boring. So today you guys can get your 3 month special locked in. That's going to give you, what is that, 12 weeks of trades? If my math's right, probably 13, 14, somewhere in that range. So you get 14 trades, roughly speaking, each one primed with a nice opportunity. Each one, when we're on the right side, we're usually winning about 150% return on investment with these trades. So really, really big upside here on the trades as well.
Graham, I'm seeing some questions in here. For this NVIDIA Elite, does it come with your Newton indicator?
It does not come with it on the base membership, but if you upgrade to lifetime, I actually include it for the lifetime members. You guys can get the Newton indicator as well, and that's that green indicator. It's funny, it actually started with NVIDIA. The testing did originally. We launched this program. The trades have been going exceptionally well, but I tested that indicator across multiple other stocks, and the results were really, really good. So if you do take the lifetime option of NVIDIA Elite, which I think will be on the next page after you lock in your $495 special, then you can get Newton included for free as well. But that's only for the lifetime members.
Okay, all right. And do you happen to know how much is lifetime?
I don't know what it is. I know the team put together this special deal today just to get as many folks in the door right now, since the opportunity is so prime with that 3 month window of bullishness on seasonally speaking, on the technicals with the S&P 500. And then just to get folks a more entry level price. So you don't have to pay $2,000 to join today, just $495 to get started and get you rolling from there.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
This will not auto bill you guys after 3 months. If you're worried, are you going to sign up, forget about it, and start getting billed, quietly in the background? We don't do that, guys. We don't mess around with that. Just $495 today. My hope is that you're going to love it so much, you're going to call our team at the end of it and ask for the full year. That's my hope. I want to give you so many winning trades, so many great results that you can't live without it. Of course, we've taken that price down today to $495 to make it much easier for you guys to join and jump over that first hurdle.
All right, now I know this one seems a little straightforward, but is this only for the NVIDIA stock?
Yes, this is specifically honing in on NVIDIA, and I really like that we do that here versus trying to keep track of, a handful of different stocks. That can be challenging. Sometimes you'll miss entries. Sometimes you'll overthink something about a stock. With this, we're just focusing it on NVIDIA, and there's no speculation to it. I don't ever look at it and say, I'm feeling like XYZ. No, I just open the chart. I say, this is what the odds say. If the odds are good enough, if we have the 80% historical accuracy odds, we're going to take the trade. It's very straightforward, cut and dry. You're not going to get my feelings on it. It doesn't matter if I like NVIDIA or if I hate NVIDIA. I'm just going to follow the chart. I'm going to follow the trade and what the system tells me is the best opportunity.
All right, sounds good. And let me see here. And so you said they're not going to be billed automatically after those 3 months, right?
Nope, you will not be billed. Again, my hope is that you just love it so much you can't live without it. So you're going to call our team and upgrade for a year. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to jump in today for just a fraction of the cost to get you started.
All right, sounds good. And then for those of you asking about the guarantee, that is all on the terms of service page. Once you click on that link, prosperitypub.com/495, just go to the bottom there, and then it has all the information there. I don't currently have it in front of me to put it in the chat. But since we are on a time constraint here, thank you so much, Graham, for sharing that with us. So if you guys are interested in getting the NVIDIA Elite, especially if NVIDIA is your favorite stock to trade, this is definitely a must-have to have under your belt so you can trade NVIDIA smarter.
Yep. And just for you guys curious, the NVIDIA's return over the last year, let's see what it was. Over the last year, 64%. We've done 380%. So we're outperforming the stock by about 5-6 times the results just by trading these cycles. So we cut out the garbage in between, just focus on these bullish cycles.
All right, sounds good. Now we're going to go ahead and jump right into what everyone's been waiting for today, the live trade room. So we have 3 experts still with us here, Jack Carter, Nathan, or Nate. Do you prefer Nathan or Nate? Does it matter?
Either one's good. I
Okay,
get both.
Nate Tucci and Graham Lindman, who is here for the live trade. So they're going to break down the real-time NVIDIA trade, so be sure to pay attention. All right, the floor is all 3 of yours. However you guys want to start.
All right, I can start here. So just jumping in. So like I mentioned, I mean, obviously, I think all of us are talking about doing things in a different way. I mean, Graham's going to be looking more tomorrow on a follow-up. And then, like I said, I'm going to be doing a couple different things. The main thing that I'm focused on is kind of stealing a page from Jack's book that he's going to cover here in just a couple of minutes. But I did want to kind of walk you through, because we've got some questions with what Kane shared. It's very in line with kind of how I would approach this. And so I just wanted to walk you through how that would work from a fundamental trade standpoint if you do want to take what we would call a gamble on NVIDIA today, more of a binary yes or no trade. So this is NVIDIA. Obviously, we're priced around 130 bucks here. It is up about 3% today. So here's an interesting exercise. What if you could take a trade that if it literally just zeroed out, if it literally just gave back the 3% that it jumped today on kind of the pre-earnings hype and balanced right back out to yesterday's close at 127 bucks, could still pay out 100% ROI. Those are typically the kind of trades I like to make on earnings, where I'm not trading outside of the expected move. I'm trading very much within the expected move and looking for a good risk reward on that. So to do that is pretty simple. You go over to trades, you go to your closest expiration date here, which is February 28th, so just 2 days away. I really like trading on Wednesdays and Thursdays because it gives the stock less time to move back out of the range that you're trading it in. And then what you would do is you go up here, if your broker does this automatically, and choose vertical. Vertical is just going to be a spread. So, a debit spread or a credit spread. And the way that you can do this is really straightforward. Go over to the put side, normally on the right side of most brokers, and then go over to the 127, 128 level on the put side and look at what it costs to buy that put, okay? And you can see here, it's going to cost 40 to 50 cents, somewhere in that range. The spread's going to be bouncing around a little bit here to buy that spread. And what this spread actually means, for those of you who are not super comfortable trading spreads, is you're basically making a binary bet here. Is NVIDIA going to end up above 128 bucks, or is it going to end up below 127 bucks 2 days from now when it expires? And like I said, NVIDIA was there yesterday. So we're not talking about some huge move. You can see here the nearest expiration move, which would be Friday, is expecting an $11 move. We're trading a $3 move. So we're trading way inside the expected move. Now, keep in mind, if you buy a regular call option, you're going to need to overcome that big move to make any money. So if you want to make like a 200% win on the call, you're going to need NVIDIA to have some shocking result here that really outperforms one side or the other. And I think what most of us expect is that it won't do that, because it's pretty hard for NVIDIA to surprise people at this point. Not to say that it can't. There are those 1 in 10 times where, crazy stuff happens. I had it happen to me on coin just recently, except for it was not in my favor. But those happen where you just get those kind of crazy outsized moves. But more often than not, the stock that everyone's loaded up into, everyone knows, they've been around this block a lot of times. You typically expect moves that are inside that expected range. And doing this as a spread gives you a way to cut out that implied volatility, that expected move, and kind of pick your own line in the sand where you want NVIDIA to go to pay you. And so here's a trade you can do. You can buy the 128 put, and you can sell the 127 put in one ticket. It's a put debit spread, and you can pay 40 or 45 cents. Now, if this trade expires on Friday below 127, it's going to be worth $1. So if you do the math on that, it's about 150% ROI for a 3% move on a stock that's expecting an 8% move. And those are the kind of risk rewards I like, because just to be super clear here, it's a gamble. When you're doing like a binary trade like this, you're just taking a gamble trade. And so if I'm going to take a little gamble trade with a low risk, I at least want the risk reward to line up in my favor. So this is a very simple trade. I'll go ahead and pop in the chat for you here for any of you who want to look at this trade Let me go to everyone here. So what you would do is obviously on NVIDIA, buy to open the 128 Feb 28 put, sell to open the 127 Feb 28 put, and then you would pay right about 40, let's call it 44 cents. And again, what that puts you in position to do is to make over 100% on a very small move in NVIDIA. NVIDIA literally is up 3.6% today, and today's not earnings. Well, it is earnings, but today's not the reaction earnings.
Hey, Nate.
Yeah.
Can I cut in real quick just because there's a time question? Gina asked, you said a $3 move, but you're doing a $1 wide spread. Do you mean the move from where the stock is now or the spread?
Yeah, the spread doesn't matter. What matters is where's your line in the sand? Where are you asking the stock to go in order to pay you? In this case, we're saying below 127. And again, there's a couple reasons I like taking like a shot like this on NVIDIA. One is because I have a hard time believing that NVIDIA will really outperform and win. But number two, and frankly, just more honestly than that, I'm very stacked to the bullish side in most situations. So it just gives me a little hedge. If the market drops, NVIDIA pulls the market down, hey, I get a nice little win as a hedge against a lot of my other bullish trades. And if I lose, it probably means the market's up and I'm winning on other trades. And, therefore I'll kind of take it. So a lot of times I take trades that are, kind of a relative addition to the rest of my portfolio. And I make decisions like that. So for example, since I am very bullish, I already own NVIDIA. Doing a bearish trade just gives me a little bit of a hedge. Real quick, let me cover the two other trades. We did talk about three different ones that you could take. The other one is this SMH. It'd basically be the same thing, but you could just go even tighter on it. When I mean even tighter, I mean you could require an even lower move on SMH. So you could go here to the 240, 240, 250, which means that you needed to go below 240. That's barely a 1.5% move and still get an over 100% ROI. So if you wanted to trade it on SMH instead of NVIDIA directly, you can get an even smaller move on an even better risk reward on the exact same trade. And again, for those of you who are new to spreads, this would normally be called a bear put spread or a bear put vertical or something similar. Every broker kind of calls it different things. But this is as binary of a trade as you can take. It's either going to finish above that level or below that level. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. And it's very much kind of what we would call a gamble trade, a trade where we say, okay, we're going to throw a couple bucks at it and see what happens. Okay, and the last trade I want to mention is the one that I don't want to talk about too much because I know Jack's going to get into it. But this is if you own NVIDIA, which I do and what I did. And if you own NVIDIA and you just go back over here and you look at NVIDIA, okay, and we go over here to the regular options, what you're going to see are some pretty juicy numbers here. Okay, these are the calls, just a couple dollars out. They're still trading for 5, 4, all the way up here, trading for about $4, even 4 or 5% out of the money. What that means is that you're still paying $4. You're still paying as much as a 4% move in the stock for a price that it's far away from and has a relatively low likelihood to get. So what most investors do their entire lives, or most traders do their entire lives, is they bang their head against the wall buying these really expensive options and having to overcome a big move and watching those options melt away. What most traders never learn to do is, how do I sell this option? How do I take advantage of the fact that this option is way too expensive right now for where NVIDIA is and where things are priced, especially on something like earnings? How do I take advantage of that really hyped option? I don't know about you, but when something's overpriced, I sure like to sell it. And so that's the other thing that I'm doing. I'm selling some options against what I own in NVIDIA so that I get a nice balance here of the upside of owning NVIDIA, but also some protection and just some extra cash flow in the chaos. So 3 different trades for you there that we talked about. 1, a directional trade on NVIDIA. I'm talking about the downside. Of course, you could do it to the upside. Taking SMH, doing the same thing. That's the one that Lance mentioned. And then trading kind of what I would dub Jack style here with just collecting some premium on that bad boy while the options are inflated. So I hope that's helpful. I don't know if anyone else has any other specific ones to get into. I wanted to cover those three as kind of options, and then obviously, lay the floor so that Jack can talk more specifically about that last one because the last one's the one I'm doing with high conviction. That's the one I'm really doing as part of my portfolio. The other trades, like I said, are kind of just stabs in the wind to see if we get some kind of pop.
Hey, Nate, could you also post the SMH trade that you mentioned?
Yes, I can. Yes,
And
I
while you
can.
do that, they were asking, are you trading this now before earnings, or are you going to do this after?
Yeah, so these ones on the spreads, well, and the call actually would all be pre-earnings, letting the move on earnings itself either give you a win or a loss. Obviously, like I said, very binary trade. What Graham's talking about is more of a directional trade where you would actually wait for the market to set up, let it kind of confirm, and then you would take a directional trade. What I'm talking about is basically how to set yourself up with a good risk reward if you're going to take a coin flip trade anyway. Because what I see people doing is buying calls or buying puts. They're trying to take a coin flip trade, but they're paying way too much to actually set themselves up for a coin flip result. It's like going to Vegas and playing the worst odds game because you're overpaying for the game and the risk reward is really bad. Here you kind of at least flip yourself in a position where if you're right, you're going to be right. And that's one of the reasons that I think regular options trading is so hard because so often you can be right and still wrong.
All right, sounds good. Awesome. Jack, I see you unmuted. Did you have anything to add?
I have a couple of trade ideas to add, but I like where Nate is at. Yeah, so the first thing you got to consider is if you have a position, and I have a big position, how do you insure that? What kind of insurance can you buy? And it could be a complete waste of money. But how you insure that position is with a married put. You would today, before the close, buy a put option close to at the money or maybe even higher with the goal to sell it tomorrow, right? Or Friday, but no longer than that. So you might want to buy one with an expiration of next Friday, but you're going to sell this one by Friday. And that's just for protection because if NVIDIA does drop substantially, that put is going to skyrocket in price. Okay. So one way you could almost get that insurance for free is if you also own NVIDIA is to sell a call option against it, bring in that premium and spend that premium buying a put at the money. That is the best kind of insurance you can get. But if NVIDIA pops higher, that's a 100% loss. But that's what insurance is. That's what it's there for, right? Unless you make a claim on your car insurance, it's a loss. So that's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider, and I love doing this, is does everybody here have after hours trading accessibility to a platform like Schwab? You can trade after the close, okay? So what I like to do, and I haven't really pinned this out, and I'll tell you though, first of all, we're 10 minutes, 12 minutes out. NVIDIA's getting stronger. And what I like to watch for in this last 10 minutes, I won't do an earnings date trade before 10 minutes before the close because I just want to see the amateurs control the open. Always remember this. As a NASDAQ market maker, I can tell you, amateurs control the open. They want to get their order in there at the market, get that order filled. But professionals control the close. And you'll see that in the last 10 minutes especially. And that's what we're seeing now. NVIDIA, just since Nate started, it's almost up a buck. Okay, and here we are now, 11 minutes going into the close. So this is the kind of thing that I pay close attention to, strength going into the close. Now, these guys that are bidding this up, they don't know what the earnings are going to be. Nobody knows. And so they're just speculating as well. But that's going to possibly carry over. So let's say it carries over. So what I'm going to do is, now I've already done this part of it, is I'm going to buy a little bit of NVIDIA stock. And if it pops in the after hours, like this earnings report, let's say it comes out at 420. So 430, it's popped. Let's say it's popped real hard. Now, if I buy a little bit of stock in here at 130, 135, one share, 10 shares, 100 shares, 1,000, 5,000, whatever, and this thing pops, the biggest pop it probably is going to have is after the close, and then before the open, it might fade back a little bit. But this pop after hours, if it's going to pop or drop, that's one of the biggest moves I've ever seen in my life. So let's say you're buy a share at the close just to play with it. This is the riskiest stuff you can do. Just want you to know that. Nothing's more risky than this, okay? So if you can't handle risk, don't do it. But if you buy a little bit of NVIDIA right before the close, I mean like right on the close, then you wait that 20 minutes, or you don't sometimes you don't even have to wait. People will start panicking and bidding the stock up. But in the after hours session, there's no NASDAQ market makers, right? It's cowboy times. So you could see the difference between the bid and the ask could be $1 wide, right? So you buy this stock before the close, then you could put it out there for sale at an outrageous price. And sometimes you could get it because there's no other sellers in your way. And if anybody's trying to buy at the market in the after hours, they're going to pay way more than they thought they were going to pay. There's some huge, huge, huge gaps. So I love doing that. Now, in addition to that, that's if you have after hours. You always want to make sure you have the ability to trade in the after hours so that if you have to get out of something, you still can after hours. You don't want to be trapped until the morning. With stocks, you're not trapped. With options, you're trapped. Okay? So what I've done in the past is I'll buy a little stock with the plan to sell it right after or right at the earnings announcement. And before the close, I'll buy some at the money call options, right? But I won't be able to sell those until tomorrow morning. And those will only be up and stay up if the stock gaps up tomorrow morning. So I've done it in the past with NVIDIA. I love to do this. And I'll sell that stock. But sometimes, even if the stock pops real hard, it'll pull back and get a little softer tomorrow morning. And I've had cases where I made money on the stock, didn't make anything on the options. But if you hit this right and you double dip it, this is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Or the opposite. You could short the stock right before the close and plan on covering your short in the after hours, and also buy a put just for the goal of selling it tomorrow or Friday. But again, you have to have after hours access to be able to do that. You might have that on Thinkorswim too. I saw the question about how's this different than a regular put. A regular put, if you just buy a put, that's a regular put. A married put is you're buying it with a strike that is close to where you own the stock or at the money. Like, let's say if you just bought NVIDIA right now at 131.5, you buy a 130 put to ensure that. But again, that's just insurance. It isn't going to work at all if the stock goes up and you bought that put, you just bought it for insurance. So Christopher Allen says he's talking about doing this today or tomorrow. Today. Okay, so I bought the stock already not too long ago that I'm going to flip in the after hours after the announcement. If the stock pops, I'm going to sell that. I'm going to buy a little bit of calls too, right? And I'm going to sell those in the morning. And then I'm going to buy some puts, which I'm willing to waste 100% of my money because you're not going to drive an expensive car, a Lamborghini, and not have it insured, right? So my position is so big that you're almost forced into buying this insurance at some point. And that's okay. It's just part of it. So how you pay for that, if you're going to do it, is maybe you bring in some premium, selling some other options to buy that married put. But if you're not worried about it going down, you don't even need to buy that insurance, okay? But if you are and you want to protect the gain you have, like let's say it goes to 110, like Nate says, right? You're going to wake up and it's just going to be emotionally brutal. But if you buy a little insurance, even though it could be a complete waste of money, you're going to sleep better tonight and have the chance to make a huge profit tomorrow if the thing folds. And like I say, it's really hard to impress investors. These are the meatloaf shareholders. And this thing, if it goes down, it's going to get into better hands. It's going to get into longer term hands because for the longest time, this was not just a great stock, but it was thought of as the get rich quick stock. And it's not that anymore. The last 3 months, it's just gone sideways. So that's really kind of disappointed people. They want to see it get back up just so they can sell it. The meatloaf shareholders. And so when this gets back into the right shareholder hands that aren't waiting for a big pop every earnings and aren't waiting for them to blow people away, those days are kind of over. Everybody's got a better handle on where the money's going now. but this could still really go to the upside and really shock some people. And so that's what I'm doing. I love trading in the after hours. If you just watch it, you'll see how crazy it can go. But really, nothing starts until that earnings actual number comes out, okay? And then the second big move is when he starts talking. It's that guidance that people are going to be hanging on his every word. Like any kind of little guidance is really going to rock it or drop it. So that's why we trade, right? I love risk. I love making money. Sometimes I lose money. That's all part of it. But if you want to get in on the action, this is how I do it. And in addition to that, I'm going to tell you why I have this massive position later today. And I'm going to show you how to do it, Misha. And I'll tell you why I'm in this thing for at least 10, 15 years. But right now, if you want to make an earnings trade, that's one of my ideas.
Awesome.
Play it both
Thank
in
you.
the aftermarket and play an option to sell in the morning.
Thank you, Jack. I can't wait to hear what you have to share
Yeah.
in just a few minutes, but we've got like 3.5 minutes until the close. So anything else?
Yeah,
guys,
watch
you
that
could
stock. Where
get
is it
folks
right
in?
now? 4 minutes in. We got 4 minutes. See? So 131.44, 46. It's holding good. And then again, watch if you're looking at volume, just like we got 4 more minutes, it's just that people aren't going to be able to get their trade in fast enough because it's really critical if you got a timestamp on this that you get this position in before 4, right? So just right now, they're just the back and forth is intense. People want to get out, they want out. People want to get in, they want in. It's really coming down to the wire, so to speak. Same thing with the options, because again, you can't buy or sell an option in the after hours, right? You can't do it before the market opens. So whatever you're going to do options wise, you got 3 minutes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jack. Graham, you got anything you want to throw on us here before the closing bell?
Yeah, I'll have some fun.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm having some
Love when
fun
you-
with this. That's what I
when
love.
Graham
Well,
has that
looking
face.
at it.
It's always a good sign.
Yeah. You know, you can take this so seriously that you let it ruin you for the day, right? You're just all sick about it. Or you could take this as an event and have some fun with it, like Graham's talking about, right?
That's what we're about to do. Have some fun.
Let's
We
go
got
for it.
2 minutes. 2 minutes till the close. I just pulled up Lance's scanner for fun because it's a fun scanner. I'm looking outside of NVIDIA right now. I think NVIDIA right now, like we said, there's not a lot to see on it. Or there's not, it needs a crazy catalyst for the upside. CRM, on the other hand, Salesforce. So if I'm looking at Lance's scanner, I've got about a minute here, so I'm going to be fast. This looks for options, big, unusual options orders. We saw someone bet $1 million the other day on the weekly options on CRM, call options. We've seen a lot more order flow today. 261,000, 161,000 all today. Actually, that one was yesterday, but on the call options. But this is
When
a
do
big
they report? When do they report earnings?
today.
CRM?
They report in about a minute and 24 seconds.
Oh wow! So maybe when I see somebody buy $1 million, they're not speculating like I am. I think somebody knows something, right?
I think too.
That's huge.
So I'm gonna have some fun here. If you guys want to follow along, Nate, I don't know if you had a chance to look at these options, but that's a $25 implied move. I'm gonna bet on maybe a half of that move to the upside. So if I do the 315s and I'm gonna sell the 315 strike, buy the 312.50. It's trading at $1.10 right now. I'll go ahead and get a few of those just for fun. This is speculative, guys. If I'm right, I should make about 140% ROI. If it'll fill, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing right now, getting it filled.
Can you repeat the trade, Graham, so I can get it on here?
It's the 28th of February. Buying the 312.5 strike, selling the 315. These are call options. I'm betting $1,000 to make $1,400. Roughly speaking, there you go. I got filled right away at $1.12 per contract. So that was the only cool thing I saw today. Outside of the NVIDIA, outside of the ordinary, I got about 10 seconds left. So hopefully you guys get in on it, and hopefully it works out. Hopefully, if it doesn't work out, you guys didn't get filled. So that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. You're protected on both sides. Exactly.
That's right.
There it is.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
there's the bell. But that was the fun stuff. That was the fun, wild. Do you want to throw some chips on the table?
There was one other that I wanted to bring up. I see Bill Wags brought it up, where he sold a naked put on NVIDIA for a strike price of 122. And what I love about that trade is whenever you sell a naked put, you get paid instantly, right? So let's say Bill got $2 for that selling that put. So he got paid $200 right up front, $2. His strike price is 122. And in the event he gets the stock put to him, his cost is going to be 120. So even if he had it assigned to him at 122, he could turn around and sell it at 122, still make $2. The yield on these naked puts is super high, especially if you do it on margin, because then you only need 20% down, which when you only putting that little bit in, that makes the yield so much higher. So we forgot to talk about naked puts, but Bill Wags, I'm glad you brought that up because that's another killer strategy to use.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a stock you actually want to own, like Nvidia, or you don't mind owning,
all right,
it
yeah.
really
So Bill
opens up
got
the possibilities.
$5. So Bill got $5. So look at this. Now, in addition to selling that put or selling a naked put at 122, so what he's saying is, I'm willing to buy this stock, but only at the price I want. So he's getting paid to make a promise. So his promise was, I'll buy Nvidia, but I'm only buying it at 122, and I'm going to get $500 now for making that promise. That's called getting paid to make a promise. I love that trade. Especially, you could take that $500 you just got from selling that naked put and buy, right? Buy another put for that insurance. That way you're getting the insurance almost free. Like they're probably like $7 to buy the put, but if you're getting 5, then you're only paying 2 to get it, right? Great, great, great trade. We should have talked. Hopefully we could talk more about that sometime in the future. But yeah, that's awesome, Bill.
Hey, Jack, we're putting all the trades here on the screen. Could you repeat yours that you had?
Yeah, sure. So mine is I bought some stock right on the close, which I'm gonna sell here if it pops. If it doesn't, I'm just gonna hang on to it. And I bought some puts. I bought some 134 put options, right, for insurance. Even though that's higher than where the stock is now, that's what I want my insurance to be set on that. I'm doing that, and then I'm also buying some calls. Buying some like 132 calls, I think, which I'm going to plan on selling in the morning or on Friday if it continues through. But I'm going to insure my position because it's big. And I'm going to take some speculative trades because I just love doing it.
Now, for
That was
the puts and calls that you said, what's the expiration on those?
Those are going to be, you can either do it for this Friday or I think the next one is the 7th. Either one's good. The 7th is going to give you a little more time. One thing about buying options is even though I'm going to sell them tomorrow or Friday, I like to buy one that even when I sell it, it still has a little time value for the buyer, right? So if I sold one that expires on Friday, if I sell that on Friday, the guy that buys it, it's not going to have any time value in it. So I want to be able to sell that one to him with a little more juice in it and a little more time for him, right? Not just for me, because the time value is going to evaporate out of that trade the closer you get to expiration. So that's just that.
Jack, those were on NVIDIA, right? I just want to.
Yeah, those are on NVIDIA.
Okay. Just to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Well, like I
Well-
said, that's all the gambling chips on the table, speculative stuff. Now we got to get into the real stuff, Jack, of what you really want to do if you're serious about NVIDIA.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. When are we going to start talking about that? Are we going to take a little breather? Or are we going right into it?
Well, we can do some rapid fire Q&A.
Yeah, let's do some rapid fire Q&A. And
Okay.
then Sarah, whenever you want me to get started on revealing the big plan, I'll do that.
Absolutely. So we'll make that rapid fire as rapid as we can because that is definitely a segment we want to get to. Okay.
Well, like
The
I said, guys, CRM, terrible play. Don't do it.
That's why he gave it to you at 359.
I saw $1,000 go poof.
There goes down 20. CRM is down 20. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, let's see, though. They haven't really reported, right?
No, they haven't given their guidance.
They're not
or
even out yet. So this is pure fear. We're seeing a stock down 6.6% on pure fear. Nothing's even happened here, right? So let's see. When the actual number comes out, I've seen these things reverse. And we'll see what happens after the number comes out and the guidance, because that's when the real action happens. So, Janine, this is not a strangle unless I used even though I'm buying calls and all that, it's not a strangle unless I'm using both at the exact same strike for the exact same expiration. So this is just a married put, calls for speculation and buying stock to flip here after the close here any minute. See, now CRM's coming back. All right, look at this. This is so crazy.
Now, for all of the trades that came out for your ideas, how do you guys plan on exiting those?
Oh, great
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack. You go first.
So for the other stuff I got on, for the options I've sold, I'm not going to close them out. The naked puts, I'm not going to close those out either. For the stock I bought right before the close, I'm going to sell that today, around 4:30, and the options I'm going to sell those in the morning. But the stock I'm going to hang on for 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and for those spreads, one of the things I like about them is they're basically binary trades. So I just let them, expire in the money, which is a full profit of $1 if you have a dollar spread. Or, if it doesn't work out, then it expires at 0, and there's really no action required on either side. It's one of the reasons I like trading them. You put it on, you cross your fingers, and then you walk away, and pretty much it's gonna either finish above your line in the sand or below your line in the sand.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And Graham, for your exit?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What was it?
No, that's
Wow,
okay. We're
thanks,
just
Graham.
gonna move on. We were talking about how do you plan on exiting the trade?
For CRM?
Well, I guess, yes, that was your pick.
That puppy, unless something happens, it's going to 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a good point. Whenever you buy options, the odds are so terrible that you should be willing and able to risk 100% of the money anytime you buy a call or a put. That's just how it is, because they move fast and they don't often work. When they do work, they work great. But always be prepared to lose it all when you're buying or selling a call or a put.
All right. Now, Eric is asking, how would you handle an account with a lot of stocks that are way under their purchase price?
Sell them.
There you go. Sell 'em. All right.
I was waiting for somebody to say something, but listen, if you're sitting on, it's dead money, right? There's so much you could do that you cannot do if you're just looking at stocks in the red the whole time. So I don't know. I think you could take action and improve upon the results you have. I would sell them. I wouldn't. In this market, there's so much opportunity, especially on the cash flow side. No reason to sit on losing stocks.
No, that's fair. All right, awesome. Dennis is asking, Jack, what is your take on debit spreads?
I hate them. It's the same as buying a call or a put, in my opinion. It's just a cheaper way to do it, And people say that can you get the same results with a debit spread that you can with a credit spread? You can't. A debit spread is great. You know what's so cool about them is a lot of people love them. Tony Saliba, you guys remember when we used to have this thing called what was it, Ask the Pros or whatever. Tony Saliba, he's in the book Market Wizards, and he's also on the board of the CBOE. Nobody knows more about options than this guy. And he loves debit spreads. He loves them. He's got his own reasons. He wants the big pop, and that's why people buy options, is they want to see the big pop. I'm more of a seller. I love credit spreads. I don't mean to bash anybody that loves debit spreads. If Nate and Graham love debit spreads, more power to you. But this is what makes a market. You know what I mean? One guy likes one thing, another guy likes another thing, and that's how it goes. But that's just my take on it, giving it to you straight.
Yeah, I use them. I use them exactly what Jack said, though, as directional. Pick my line in the sand, directional trade. If they win, they win. If they lose, I'm going to lose 100% in most cases. So that's exactly how I like to use those debit spreads, kind of picking a direction and going for it. Because, for example, like Nvidia today, if I was playing it to the upside, I'd buy a call debit spread, because then I could buy it for $134 instead of needing a call option that it rips to $120 to make, or I said that backwards. I buy it for 134 instead of buying it for, a call that needs to go to 150 to make any money. So for me, it's all about kind of lessening the total move that I need to make to get on the positive side of the ROI versus, regular calls that you're paying for that entire expected move.
Yeah. Dennis says, And I say this all the time. I don't make money. I take money. And when I look at an options chain, I see how much they're willing for me to take. They're just saying, hey, if you sell these options, this is how much we're willing to pay you. So when I look at that options chain, I'm just rubbing my hands together. I don't need to make it. I just like to take it and let them expire worthless. That's the biggest game in the book.
And I think one thing we can all agree on, at least us three here, is that just buying straight calls, buying straight premium really is probably not optimal. Unless you've got a really, really crazy strategy for outsized moves. That's why I like debit spreads, because I can basically offset the time premium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I love, you got to remember
over straight calls or puts.
I love buying calls. Whenever I get around Lance, I can't help myself when we
Oh,
start looking at that scanner. And what I love to do with his thing is, there's stocks on there I've never heard of or never seen, like Lunar. We bought those and I doubled my money on those. Rocket Lab, we did those. I got just under 100% on those. We've done a lot of them, Lance. I love that scanner. That's a lot of fun. It's the highest risk trade out there, but you're not going to double your money overnight any other way if that's what you want to do. That's the only vehicle out there that gives you the biggest bang for your buck. But it doesn't work very often. So when it does, you got to just invest how much you're willing to lose and be willing to lose 100% of it or 50% of it and then go for it. But yeah, that little option scanner Lance has, that's all about buying calls or puts. And I love that thing, but I don't do it nearly to the size that I'm long Nvidia, right? Nothing like that. But yeah, there's a time and place for buying them. And that scanner, when you see like a guy wants to buy $1 million worth of an option, man, that's a very compelling reason to maybe buy $1,000 worth of it or whatever. But just it's a great lead seeing that little scanner he has, and I love buying calls and puts for that. But that's like 1 to 2% of what I do, right? That's on the risk pyramid. That's the highest risk trade you could make. The other stuff with less risk, I've plowed way more money into that. But nothing's as fun as buying a call and seeing it double overnight. That's the funnest.
No, that's also the beauty in these roundtables. You have different types of traders who trade different types of strategies. And so for everyone listening, we all don't trade the same. You got to find what works best for you guys.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and continue with some of the questions that I'm seeing here. So I do have one where it says, how can investors hedge against market uncertainty? Would assets like Bitcoin or gold be good options?
Ooh.
I don't think so.
I'm going to pull a Jack and say and give you the honest answer. No. No. Listen, if you were around, if you trade through 2022, you found out that all those really smart bonds and gold that they put in your portfolio to hedge against the stocks you own did absolutely nothing. They just went down with it. So those kind of hedges, in my opinion, don't work at all. No. I have some gold. Don't get me wrong. I think gold's a good bet, but I'm buying gold because I like gold, not because I think it's going to hedge my portfolio.
Now, when did you change your mind on gold?
What? I like gold. I have some gold.
We were both talking about how we hated gold last year. Was that another Nate?
No. Okay. Well, I bought it after Jeff convinced me. Actually, this was like end of 2023.
Okay, that makes more sense. Jeff,
but it's not a big position, and I certainly don't think it's some magic protection against downside pressure in the market. I think that's like a very bizarre. As a matter of fact, I think that about all hedges. I think this idea that you're just going to cap your gains and then something's eventually going to bail you out never actually works on any kind of portfolio view if you just run the numbers. So do what Jack's going to show you here in a minute if you want to have some protection and still make some money. Don't try to buy an asset that's just going to sit there and do nothing and then not help you when you need it to help you anyway.
All right. Now, this is probably going to be answered by Jack's blueprint there, but what is the best way to trade earnings with this, especially in the NVIDIA ones? Is it going to be spreads? Is it going to be, because I'm getting a lot of questions on that.
I'd say don't do it. We're only doing it in this particular example because this has so much built into it. But for the most part, trading earnings, I don't think that's a good strategy. It's just a coin flip. You can get a bigger bang for your buck doing something else. So when it comes to regular earnings, I'm not afraid to own a stock during earnings, but I'm not going to apply one kind of special strategy across the board to how earnings goes because they're all over the place.
And I would say, same for me. I sometimes like to have fun and take a shot at a couple things that I like. But earnings are brutal. Like for example, I took some coin earnings because I was so convinced that coin was going to kill earnings, just because I thought their fees would be through the roof from Bitcoin going up and everyone withdrawing money. And coin smashed earnings. They beat earnings by more than I could have ever hoped for. And now I'm down 40 grand on coin. So that's how that works out on earnings. And that's why it's such a brutal way to kind of live and
It
die
is.
by earnings reports.
Yeah, it's just it's an event that has no predictive way to get it. There's no way to get an edge on it unless you're just pure speculating on both sides.
All right. Now, if you guys have any questions that we haven't gone over yet, there's been a lot of action in the chat. Just repost your questions and we'll definitely get to it. At this time, I definitely want to turn things over to Jack because we have a lot of questions regarding the cash flow strategies surrounding NVIDIA. So if you want to see Jack's NVIDIA income blueprint, which takes advantage of NVIDIA's inflated premium, stick around. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Jack, who's going to walk you through how this strategy works step by step.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Of course.
So let me see where we're at here.
All right, you guys got to pay attention. This is where things get serious. Up till now, we've been throwing darts. This is where things get serious. So you guys got to pay close attention to this part.
Please do. This is something that I do myself. A lot of the stuff you read about or see, you get email invitation to attend something, and everybody here does, but a lot of people don't trade. And I got a huge position in NVIDIA, and I'm going to show you exactly how I take advantage of it. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Yeah, you know me. I'm Jack Carter. Thank you for being here. You've arrived at a very opportunistic time. I'm going to show you how to make some real money in this thing. Now, on January 27th, when deep fake shocked the U.S. market and caused the single biggest day market decline in history, a lot of people just cried, wet their pants, did all kind of stuff. But I was laughing all the way to the bank. No joke, because I built my portfolio to generate cash payouts, whether NVIDIA moves up, down, or sideways. That's why I really don't care which way it goes. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm taking a long road home on this. Now, just take a look at some of the payouts I've generated on NVIDIA. Got started 308, 260, 450, 1990, 2000, 1999. And that's 7,036 on just 6 NVIDIA cash generation positions. But don't get me wrong, I'm anything but an NVIDIA bear. In fact, it's the single biggest holding I have. I have exactly 7,000 shares right now. You can do the math on that. And I believe it's the number one stock to own for the next decade and probably beyond. But in the last 2 months alone, even with all the downside of the deep sneak, take a look at this. This is $9,000 on one of these cash generation positions. My wife loves it when that happens. That money hits your account instantly. The next one, this is the last one, 11,079. One trade. Okay? 19 grand right there. 20 grand on just 2 NVIDIA cash generation positions. There's no other stock out there that I know of that allows me to generate this kind of cash, right? This is money. This is where the money resides. So even during the biggest single day loss in market history, I was still able to generate over $11,000 on my NVIDIA shares and not even worry about it, because as much as I absolutely love this ticker, I also know the secret truth about NVIDIA that leads most traders to destruction. You see, over the last year, NVIDIA has become the golden child of the Magnificent Seven, the most popular stock in the world. It's experienced meteoric rise over the last 18 months. It's demolished the broad market and even its semiconductor competitors. And I'm not breaking any news here. You guys know this. NVIDIA's owned the headlines. It owns the market. It's got a stranglehold on AI. Look at this. It's just unbelievable. Now, I'm not telling you something you don't know. It's been the center of a buying frenzy like nobody's ever seen. It's had over 200 million shares bought and sold on average every day in the markets. That's a lot. And with their earnings report coming up, many experts are saying that one way or another, this is the time to rush in and buy up shares. But I'm urging you, don't rush in and buy up a bunch of shares because most investors have no clue, but there's a much bigger opportunity at hand right now, one I call the Nvidia cash generation blueprint. And while investors who rush in are stuck with Nvidia's volatility, uncertainty, and sudden shocks, meaning they were bleeding out when Nvidia got hammered by deep sneak, thanks to a little known options loophole, I don't have to guess Nvidia's exact direction to generate these payouts. I'm going to make this money again every single month, no matter what price Nvidia is at. It won't matter if Nvidia goes up, down, sideways. These Nvidia cash generation payouts, they hit my account no matter what. Now, of course, as I've already said, just like with any strategy, there's risks. Trades that don't work out exactly how you expect, but in my philosophy, even the bad outcomes with this Nvidia approach are great for me in the long run, which is why I absolutely love this strategy. I love it. I just love it. And in my opinion, no other strategy comes close to what I'm going to share with you today. And Nvidia's earnings call is without a doubt one of the biggest opportunities I've ever seen, setting up our next trade to hit on the king of AI stocks in a matter of days. And that's why I want to share this with you today, because I want to open your eyes to what I truly believe is a generational opportunity to tap into the hottest stock in the world for what could be incredible payout potential. Plus, place your foothold on the AI investing race with the top stock in the sector. You can do it all by taking advantage of my personal Nvidia cash generation blueprint starting this upcoming week, where you can take the same trade with me. Now, I cannot see the future, although I can a little bit, but I can't guarantee results, and the markets are unpredictable. But it's my goal to make this, check this out, no joke, $108,090 over the next 12 months thanks to this phenomenon. Now, we're just kind of getting ramped up, right? The split, all that. Then we came up with this goal, and I'm on it. Now, you saw that last trade. I made 11,000 some change on that. The one before that, 9,000. So I'm going to make $108,090 over the next 12 months. You can come along for the ride. Now, I was fortunate to buy a lot of NVIDIA, and I watch it grow. So I'm going to be doing this challenge with 30 contracts. And most people are going to start much smaller, maybe just one contract. But the heart of the strategy is the same for everybody. And that's just one thing I plan to teach you, and we got a lot to cover. So we're going to go over the dumb money mistake I think millions of traders are about to make, the unbelievable revenue truth of NVIDIA's massive breakout, the real reason stock prices move, you're going to want to write this down, and the hidden 180 traders you can make today to turn the odds of 80% or more against you into 80% for you. It's the biggest advantage in the stock market. I'm going to tell you about that. And my personal blueprint for trading NVIDIA stock. So strap it in. This is one of the most important opportunities I think you'll ever see. This is one of the biggest money makers for me personally that I have going. Now, some of you might be wondering, who am I and why on earth is this guy talking to me about this? Why should you trust me? Well, my name is Jack Carter. Again, thank you for being here. You've arrived at a very opportunistic time. And you might have heard some of my colleagues call me the income ace. Now, when I started on Wall Street with Dean Witter, that was nearly 40 years ago in the mid-'80s. And that place is still near and dear to my heart. And back then, nobody would have called me an ace unless they were pulling my leg, because I wasn't some hotshot investor making millions every month. I was broke. I thought I was going to be a hotshot, but I got burned pretty bad trying to play an aggressive options game, just like I think the vast majority of traders are going to do when they play NVIDIA. Now, thankfully, getting burned like that taught me the most valuable lesson of my 40-year career, and that was how the options game really worked. And after that, I became obsessed with doing exactly the opposite of what I was doing before, losing my money. And that's what most dumb money is still trying to do. The same thing I can all but guarantee millions of people are lining up around the block to do with NVIDIA. I already saw it happen today, and you can see it in the volume of trades that took place. Now, since then, I've been a NASDAQ market maker, a professional day trader, and a hedge fund manager, and I've moved over $1 billion through the markets, and fortunately, I have made a great living. But by far, my biggest thrill has been leaving Wall Street, quitting my own hedge fund. Now, what I'm doing is working with tens of thousands of traders across 40 countries around the world, and I'm exposing Wall Street secrets to help the little guy get their piece of the wealth-building power in the markets. Now, in a bit, I'll teach you the secret I learned from Wall Street, that helped me go from a Dean Witter dropout. I got fired, actually, for not producing enough commissions. Lowest point in my life, going from that to the income ace. And because this one just busted wide open on NVIDIA after the split. Now, anybody who's had a pulse since 2023 has heard about NVIDIA, probably the breakout stock of the decade. And since the start of 2020, it's up about 1,800%. But it's a lot more than just a hot tech stock. It's the number 2 valued company in the world. Now, this is a company that almost nobody had heard of 5 years ago, and it's currently bigger than Amazon and Google. They weren't doing what they are now. But the best part is NVIDIA isn't one of those hype or meme stocks that rockets for a few months before it goes to zero. The tech superstar's growth is real. Because even while NVIDIA's stock grew 170% in 2024 alone, NVIDIA's revenue is growing even faster and setting records. That's the part that blows people away. In fact, while NVIDIA's price is skyrocketing and many talking heads are calling it an AI bubble, NVIDIA's price to earnings ratio is remarkably shrinking dramatically. Isn't that ironic? It's shrinking almost as quickly as the stock was soaring, meaning that NVIDIA is actually a better investment now than it was in 2021. It's one of the healthiest companies by far we've seen in the history of the stock market. You know, their profit margin is 55%. Now, just look at how these blue chip companies' revenue has grown. Now, we're not talking about profit margin. We're just talking about revenue growth. Apple, minus 0.9%. That's no Mag 7. Microsoft, 7%. Amazon, 9%. Google, 10%. Meta, 11%. Big deal. Revenue grown year over year. Big deal. 11%, 9%. Give me a break. How about NVIDIA? It doesn't even fit on here. I don't know if I can even see that. 125%. You see why I'm saying nothing's even come close. Now, which company do you want to play around with? Right? Where's an earnings play on Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta? It ain't there. Where's the future? Not really in those four. It's in NVIDIA. And there's a reason NVIDIA has become the crown jewel of my portfolio by a long shot. Now, all this has been true of NVIDIA for a long time, but on June 10th of last year, the buying frenzy on NVIDIA got supercharged because on that day, NVIDIA split its stock 10-1, meaning people who needed 100 grand to take big speculative bets on NVIDIA before, you could suddenly jump in and buy these options for a tiny fraction of the cost. And of course, since the share price dropped 90% because of the split, there's been a flood of new activity. But unfortunately, a lot of people have reacted the wrong way to this historic event. Hundreds of thousands of people have tried to buy as many NVIDIA shares as they can afford to hold on to for the next decade. And even more have been loading up on speculative call options, hoping to get their share of NVIDIA's next wave of explosive growth. Hope is not a strategy. And in my opinion, that couldn't be a bigger mistake because there's a huge misconception about how these splits work that I think crushed many retail investors. I want you to pay particular attention here. I want to keep you from getting suckered in and even show you how to flip this misconception into a significant and immediate advantage. You see, and I want you to write this down. This is important stuff. I want to give you some real value here. Now, most people think that a lower price gives a stock more upside, right? That's common thinking. Think about it this way. Now, knowing nothing else about a stock, which would you say is more likely to double in price? Stock A trades at $1,000 per share, or stock B that trades at $2 per share? Which is more likely and more capable of doubling in price? Now, I already know this. Most of you are going to say stock B because it's only $2 and it looks like a $2 stock can go double easier than a $1,000 share stock, right? Now, that's exactly how I used to think back before I'd move billions of dollars of volume myself. And trust me, that assumption about a cheap stock being able to double easier than an expensive stock, that could not be more wrong. And this is one of the most important things you're going to learn today, so please take notes. Now, here it is, plain and simple. The price of a stock has nothing to do with how quickly or easily it can move, plain and simple. The price has nothing to do with how quickly or easily it can move. There's actually only one variable that actually moves a price of a stock. Anybody want to guess? Volume. That's it. Now, let me repeat that because this is crucial. The transactional volume, the buying and selling back and forth, is what moves a stock's price. And typically, stocks with lower volume, they're also cheaper, and sometimes they do move quickly because of the low volume. So we get this misconception about cheap stocks moving faster, but they don't move because the share price is low. All right? Now, this is a very common myth. Most people think that a small stock is small because the stock price is low. The stock price is small. And they think a big stock is big because the price is big. Okay? That's what they think. But they should be seeing the truth behind stock moves. And the truth is, small stocks are small because volume is small. And big stocks are big because volume is big. Now, for example, Apple, whose share price, 196, it's one of the hardest stocks in the world to move. Same with Amazon. And this isn't just my opinion. I'm giving you the facts here, my friend. Economic fact. Now, take a look at this. This is a heat-seeking platform that shows you millions of orders on Apple, and they change the price of the stock less than $1. Now, that's millions of orders, not millions of dollars. That's millions of orders. It could be hundreds of millions of dollars back and forth, and it only changes the price by a few pennies. So these comparatively cheap stocks like Apple and Amazon, they're the hardest in the entire market to move. So please, if you take nothing else away, never assume that a cheaper stock is cheap and easier to move based just on its price. Now, give me a yes in the chat if this light bulb moment for you that you realize a cheap stock is not cheap and cannot double easier because it's cheap, okay? Type a yes in there if this is a light bulb moment for you. And I need you to understand this so I could take you to the next place, which is even better. So it's so important to understand that. Thanks for typing in the yeses, okay? Now, that's because many investors still are basing trading decisions on this misconception that a cheap stock can double in price easier than a more expensive stock. Penny stocks, for example. What a bunch of junk that is. Now, as soon as Nvidia's stock split, we've seen that same thing play out in real time. After the split, hordes of investors rushed in to buy calls on Nvidia because now that it's split, they think it can double more easier now that it's cheaper. Thinking that somehow magically, now that the price on the same stock has dropped, it's much more likely to jump from 100 to 200 than from 1,000 to 2,000. And these people are severely mistaken. And I hate to put this bluntly, but what you hear about the dumb money in the stock market, this is it. But that's the reason for this briefing, because all that dumb money, all the buying of these calls on Nvidia, it's creating an unbelievable opportunity for us to take advantage of. I'm taking advantage of it all the time. Now take a look at what I mean. This is Nvidia in the months leading up to the split. Big action, right? For the most part, it's a rocket ship, but it's also very volatile, capable of making big moves fast. Now remember volume, okay? Now here, it wasn't uncommon for Nvidia stock to jump 20, 25 or more in a single day. And just look at all the times this happened. Boom, 20 or more. All the time. Very common. That's a big move. And it's a common move. And that's a ton of moves. But a big reason Nvidia is everyone's favorite stock right now. But remember, this is another good one to write down. At $1,100 a share, a $20 move amounts to less than a 2% jump in a daily stock price. So when they're high priced like that, it's not uncommon to get a $20 move. So most of these moves, they're relatively small stock moves, okay? Less than 2%, even though they look big. But with Nvidia now hovering around 125, a lot of folks will be fooled into thinking the stock can still jump 20 or 30 in a single day. It can't. They don't realize that they're making a near impossible bet on Nvidia, yet they're buying these call options all the time. At 100 a share, a $20 price move amounts to a 20% spike instead of a 2% spike. Now ask yourself, when is the last time Apple, Amazon, Google, or Microsoft moved 20% in a single day? I mean, that almost never happens. Yet people are going to get suckered into this trap over and over and over again, just like they did today. Now take a look at this data. It's going to blow your mind. Nvidia is one of the most traded stocks in the world right now, okay? It crushes stocks like Meta, Palantir, Amazon, even Apple. No comparison. It's seen 22 billion in trades flow in, more than doubling almost every other asset in the world. And just like I told you, folks are gobbling up Nvidia calls more than 2 times as often as Nvidia puts. Now, we'd expect that ratio to be closer to even, right? Look at this. This is insane. Just insane. The call options, the way they're paying for them, no matter the price, it's crazy. And Nvidia has already had an insane volume of speculative action. But here's what you need to understand. These flood of retail investors lining up around the block to buy calls on Nvidia, they're setting themselves up to get smoked. Because along with overly speculative option buying comes extremely low win rates. And this shouldn't be shocking to anybody. It's exactly how Wall Street wants the game to work. And most people are playing right into their hands. In fact, Bloomberg cites an assistant professor at London Business School who says that retail traders love buying options that have lottery-like features. In other words, most retail traders are scooping up low probability bets like candy. Now, just listen to what Nitin Kamath, the CEO of the largest brokerage firm in India, said. They got the same thing over there we got here. He says 80% of all buy option positions at the end of every day are in losses. He goes on to say, and this is harsh, buying options ruins most retail traders because they don't understand the risk of leverage averaging down and impact costs. And he continues, over my past 20 years in the markets, I've interacted with many retail traders in various capacities. And the one thing I've seen that leads retail investors to consistently lose money is option buying. Now, that might sound negative. But like I told you, I'm more optimistic about NVIDIA than I've ever been. Because for those of us who understand what's really happening, we can turn that disaster of all that call buying into a major opportunity. And as I said, it's my goal to make $108,090 with this opportunity over the next 12 months, starting with 30 contracts of NVIDIA. We're 2 months into it, and I'm on target. Now, obviously, I can't hardly read this. It says I can't guarantee that for myself or for you, but I'm going to guarantee that for myself, but I'm not going to guarantee it for you. I'm going to guarantee it for myself. That's just how I roll. Now, that's my plan with a big starting position that I built up over the years, and your results could be larger or smaller depending on your starting stake. And remember, not every trade works out exactly how we expect, but the method couldn't be more straightforward. Here it is. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag right here. All you got to do is sell the options that these retail investors are misguidedly trading so frantically. So theoretically, the 80% stacked against them becomes our 80% advantage. Now, I got to tell you, options are a zero-sum game, right? So for every loser, there's a winner. And if option buyers are losing 80% of the time, that means option sellers are winning 80% of the time. Now, right here, what you're seeing on the screen right here, this is the single biggest advantage in the stock market by being an option seller. And that 80% advantage, that's before taking into account the stock split, which is why I believe this is a generational opportunity to take advantage of selling overpriced call options at what could be a massive built-in advantage. Now, don't just rush off and start selling every option on NVIDIA. Not just yet. I got to show you how to do it. Now, we're at a huge advantage knowing that NVIDIA is incredibly likely to climb as much as many retail traders are betting it will. It's not going to climb as fast and as high as they think. But I do believe NVIDIA is one of the best companies to own for years to come. I think the price is going to go up. It's just not going to double like people think it is in a week. Meaning that while I don't have a crystal ball, I expect the stock price to rise steadily over time. And even with NVIDIA's growing at unprecedented levels over the last 5 years, I still believe the sky's the limit over the next 5. And that creates an opportunity even better for us. In fact, it's the same opportunity I've taken advantage of for years, including on Google since its stock split. And one of my top students, Michael B., he said he's made $16,115 with the Google Cash Generation Blueprint alone over the last 18 months. Then he added, and he's talking to you, okay? He's saying, don't hesitate and jump in at whatever level you can. He says it's a high win, low risk way to bring in income regularly. I know we're not supposed to say this, but it's like printing money. That's what he said. Now, Michael's story is incredible, and I can't say it's typical. I'd estimate he started with 40 to 50, and not all traders will be that successful. But I believe NVIDIA, with the retail mania surrounding it, this is an even better opportunity than Google is on its best day. But until last summer, my plan would have cost over 100 grand in starting capital to enact on NVIDIA. But now that the split has happened, and buying NVIDIA will be supercharged around earnings, which is why I joined this urgent briefing. And I've been dying to share this NVIDIA cash generation blueprint with my readers since long before the stock split was announced, because it's my personal game plan to take advantage of NVIDIA during its next phase of growth. And honestly, it sets me up with a no matter what situation on NVIDIA in the coming months and years. So even if NVIDIA stays flat or goes down over the coming months and years, it doesn't matter to me because I'm in a position to benefit. But if NVIDIA behaves as I expect for the next 5 years, I'll stand to absolutely crush the returns of buy and hold or any other strategy I know of, just like what happened on Goog since its stock split. You see, when that news first dropped about Goog splitting, I held an urgent briefing like this, and fortunately, hundreds of traders followed my advice and joined. And we've had the opportunity to create cash on Google every month for the last 2 years. We're going 31 months. This next month will be 31 months we've been doing it. And in that time, I've had a ton of students tell me they've generated premium in their account for the first time ever using the blueprint. Peter M. said he made 150, then 200. Carol E. said her first cash generation trade collected 1,700. Hal K. said he grabbed about 200 from his first trade. Jim P. said he collected 575 so far. Pamela W. cashed in for 210. David D.'s up 360. Bill got 243. Muriel said she got 254. I got hundreds and hundreds of these testimonials. But I want to tell you something. Every single one of you on here today has the exact same talent and ability as Peter, Carol, Hal, Jim, Pamela, David, Bill, and Muriel. The only difference is you have to take action and you have to get on board with a plan like this. Now, obviously, that's some of the top feedback, but there's about 100 or 200 more folks who wrote in to say they're making cash too. We had about 300 all at one time saw cash flow come in, same time. Now, I can't promise future returns, but I fully expect the NVIDIA cash generation blueprint to do even better given the conditions we're seeing right now. And that's why you got to be here for this. Okay, write this down. I'm hosting a live session on Monday, March 3rd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to explain the entire cash generation blueprint and do a live trade with you. I'm going to show you how my cash flow comes in. You can copy and paste, take the same trade, have cash flow come in for you. Now, I've been working on this since the moment NVIDIA split was announced. And I ended up creating an entire package specifically around this urgent opportunity, starting with our first live cash blueprint trade coming Monday. Hey, who wants to see cash flow hit their account on Monday? If that's you, be there because I'm going to do it, and you can make as much as you want. You're going to see. I'm going to try to make a little over 11,000 on Monday. Okay? You want to see me do it? You want to take the same trade? You can do it. I love sharing this with you. So at this first session, not only will you learn the entire blueprint, but if you choose, you can copy and paste the first NVIDIA cash generation trade and see cash hit your account instantly. That way, as soon as the split occurs, you'll have a complete understanding of how to trade it and a head start on targeting cash flow from this generational opportunity. But if you can't make the first session, don't worry about it, because you'll also get the full recording of every class and session we ever do posted in the private members area. And if you don't have time to dive into the full recording just that second, then you're still covered because we post a quick action summary after every NVIDIA cash generation class. That summary will list out the exact trade details and a separate trade alert, so it's easy to find and follow, and then we'll notify you via email, text, and telegram when it's posted. And just to make sure you have all the details to follow along with what I call the 5-time challenge. Now, why do I call it the 5-time challenge? Well, I've run the numbers, and on my blueprint, I truly believe that with just one cash generation trade, one per month, you can handle that. With one per month, I'm going to target an S&P killing 30% over the next year. Actually, a little higher than that, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And yes, you heard that right. Just one trade a month. You can handle one trade a month with a goal to do 5 times the entire broad market average return. Now, there's no guarantees, and I can't tell you for certain that I'll achieve my goal, although I will tell you for certain that I will achieve my goal because that's how I roll. But the amazing thing about this cash generation blueprint is that my goal doesn't even require NVIDIA stock to go up. That's one of the main things I love about it and why I'm always so cool about earnings. It doesn't bother me. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's just how the numbers break down. So I couldn't be more confident about this challenge. Now, let me recap. This is what you're going to get. You're going to join me today in this. You're going to meet with me on the 3rd. You're going to have money come in your account. This is the NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint. So we're going to have these live classes, not just once. We're going to do them every month. So you can take the same trade I take every single month. And we'll place each trade at the exact same time. The recordings of every live class, you'll get that in the members area. And I'll share the quick action report after every call detailing the trade so you can follow along if you want. And these monthly classes are where I literally work you through the NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint. And I do that alongside you. And over time, these are the heartbeat of the program. Because not only do I want to have you have cash flow, I know that's going to happen. I'm not worried at all about that. My secondary goal is that you become an expert at this. And that's why I want you to meet with me every month so you can become an expert. And I got a whole lot more cooked up as part of this special opportunity. Now, like I said, I think this strategy will be indispensable for at least the next 5 years. So I expect NVIDIA stock to be the crown jewel of most folks' portfolio. So I want to give you my 5-year outlook. This is all the scenarios I see happening. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but this report will explain why I love the longer-term play and how I personally expect it to grow during that time. And it'll also lay out the potential we have by applying this blueprint over the next 5 years. And it's a big return I'm forecasting. So here's everything you're going to get today. Live classes every month, the 5-time challenge update, the 5-year outlook, all the recordings, the full suite of notes and recordings from the masterclass, the whole 9 yards. This is a download of my personal NVIDIA game plan that you get instantly. But I'm also announcing something else as part of this remarkable opportunity. And it's a powerful way to help stack cash on top of your NVIDIA blueprint. Now, if you've listened to me lately, you heard me preach about dividends. I love them. And I'll tell you all about NVIDIA's dividend hack and a new report I'm going to include in your membership today, free of charge, just for you. And you can scoop up shares of this ticker in the report as soon as you download it if you want to. And if you don't like that one, I got another report you're going to love. You see, NVIDIA is a one-of-a-kind opportunity since the split. But if you believe, like I do, that AI should be the centerpiece of your portfolio going forward, then I've got my eyes set on another way to play the AI revolution that builds on our outstanding NVIDIA blueprint. And I'm confident I could build a whole extra class around this powerful stock. But founding members in the NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint, you won't have to wait. You're going to read all about it inside my brand new, never before released AI Double Dip report. Now, I love the stock you'll read about in this report. It's not nearly as hyped and doesn't have nearly as much volume as NVIDIA, which means it could be perfect for one particular type of slow and steady cash generating trade. And I'll tell you all about it in the Double Dip report. Now let's take a look at the full NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint. This is everything you're going to get today. And I can't believe how much value we've been able to pack into this thing in just a week since learning about NVIDIA's split. And by now, you're probably wondering, how much will this cost to join? And I'm going to get into that, and I think you'll be very happy. But first, let me throw out one more bonus. You see, when you're trading the NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint, which you're going to start with me on the 3rd, you're going to need a way to help keep track of the money your trades have the potential to make. And my team and I have built the perfect solution. We got some custom calculators. Now, that might not sound as sexy as some of the other bonus reports, but let me tell you, these calculators are solid gold. And through the years, I've had a ton of traders tell me they're struggling to keep track of income trades. So I had a team of programmers build these calculators so that you never have to do the legwork again. You just plug in the details of the trade, and it shows you your return. 6%, 9%, 18%. That's what we're going for. And it spits out all the info you need. And I use these yield calculators pretty much every single day I trade, but I'm going to give them to you for free. And you can start using them today when you join the NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint. Now, this is a dizzying amount of stuff for one program. So let's get to the big question. What's the cost? I have no doubt I could charge big wigs and fat cats a pretty penny for all this. As you've seen, $20,000 I made in 2 trades. And in fact, when I first came up with the idea for the Cash Generation Blueprint, I went to our publisher, Nate, and I told him the idea and suggested we charge $4,997. And truth be told, if I charge $49.97, the first time I offered the Google Cash Blueprint, I have no question that every single person would have gotten their money's worth and then some. Every single person in that class, to the best of my knowledge, has made money. And I can't say that about any other program. But the more I thought about this generational opportunity, the more I was convinced I needed to make sure it was accessible to everybody. You see, I left Wall Street to bring their techniques to the little guy, the retail trader who gets priced out of most of these kinds of opportunities. Now, the stock split on NVIDIA, it finally gives everyday traders a chance to trade one of the most powerful strategies available to anyone with a brokerage account on what I would consider the top stock on the planet right now. So whether you have a big account or a smaller account, I don't want to price you out of this opportunity, which is why today I'm not asking $4,997, not $2,500, not $1,497, not even $997, because I truly do not want the cost to be a barrier here. So today, founding members of the brand new NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint can lock their membership spot in for just $497. That, my friend, is a no-brainer. Now, before I drop the link, let me just make it a little bit better. $497 to everything you see here. It is an absolute no-brainer in my opinion. 12 months of trades, 12 months of live classes, and all the recordings, all the reports, everything. But I'm so jacked up about this opportunity that I want to sweeten the pot for you just a bit more. Because I told you that NVIDIA is a crown jewel stock for at least the next 5 years, and I think probably a lot longer than that. And that's why I want to help you get started by putting the cost of your first share of NVIDIA on me. So if you lock in your founding access today, I'm going to yank another $112 off this already dirt cheap price for you. That was the price, $112, of the price of NVIDIA after the split, right? And it's my way of gifting you the cost of one share of what I consider the world's top stock. And it'll cost now just $385. I can't believe it's only $385 to claim your founding spot and tap into all of this right now. Go to jackcartertrading.com/NVIDIA to claim your spot. Write down March 3rd. You're going to make some money, right? Now let's get going. Give us a call. Have your credit card ready. 904-706-3534. 904-706-3534. To join NVIDIA Cash Blueprint, go to jackcartertrading.com/NVIDIA or have your credit card ready. Call us 904-706-3534. You'll speak to an expert. And while you're securing your spot, I have one more thing you need to know. Because I know even with everything I taught you today, there's still some skeptics in the crowd. Jack, if this is so great, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, it's because everybody doesn't know Jack. This is what I do. This is where my money comes from. But more importantly, I've already told you that most folks don't know what this approach is at all. So they're going to follow the dumb money approach. But we're on the road less taken, but better paved. But don't just take my word for it, because I got you covered either way. For everybody here today, I'm going to offer you a 14-day full satisfaction guarantee. So I believe NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint will change the way the vast majority of folks who join here today look at the market. But I don't want that tiny fraction to feel trapped in a program that doesn't work for them. So I've authorized my team to refund every penny that you spent to join if you aren't satisfied in the first 2 weeks. And we'll part ways as friends. And that's the fully satisfied guarantee. And it's just $385 to lock in all of it. But this founder's deal won't last long. Once our first trade is in the book, so is this deal. March 3rd, we're doing it live together. So act now, claim your founding membership spot, invest in yourself, be an action taker. right? You need to join so you're ready for this first class. I can't wait for this. When you see the money come into your account, that's the best feeling in the world, and you can have it come into your account. Just join me March 3rd at 11. And you don't have to wait to get started targeting cash today. You've got 2 reports in the members area to help lock you in. You can jump on these 2 stocks today if you want, right? There's the whole package for you. Now, after you join the Cash Blueprint today, do not close the next page because I created a special opportunity just for NVIDIA Cash Generation Blueprint members. Now, when I launched the Google Blueprint 30 months ago, I never could have anticipated the meteoric rise of NVIDIA or that we'd be here with another generational opportunity at trading a stock split right in front of us. Now, I believe NVIDIA is the best opportunity in the markets that we could possibly get right now. But what about a year from now, 18 months or 2 years? There could be another perfect opportunity for a blueprint setup. And I want you to be able to trade it alongside me. So I created what I call the Cash Blueprint Elite. This is what you want. This is a VIP membership that locks in permanent access to every blueprint opportunity forever. I've got my eye on 2 more coming up, and if we build those out as cash blueprint programs, you'll also get those for free, and any other one I develop in the future. And I think you're going to love the price. So read the info on the next page after you join and see if it's a good fit. And if you join the Blueprint Elite, you unlock instant access to our ongoing cash generation blueprint and my brand new Bitcoin Cash blueprint. You're going to love that too. This is like an immediate triple dip into this powerful strategy. So I encourage you, claim your membership today. Go get that money. I'm going to make it Monday the 3rd. You can do it too. Now, I know we got a ton of questions, but before we get there, I'm going to answer some of the most common questions I know will pop up. So how much money will I need? Well, you'll need to be able to buy 100 shares of NVIDIA on cash or margin. So it might be around $15,000 to get started, or half of that on margin. So our master class, our first trade, we're going to get together live on Monday, March 3rd. That's just a few days away, and I cannot wait. Now, why do you love NVIDIA so much, and what's your long-term outlook? Well, I love it so much because it has a stranglehold on the business, but it also has something nobody else has. It has the best innovation, the best talent, right? You figure these guys weren't even around years ago. That's because of Jensen Huang. He led this into this new world of AI, not just gaming chips and graphics, right? The future is in their innovation. The future is in AI. It's not going away. You're going to see AI built into everything. Every single part of your life, it's going to be built into there. And these guys are going to lead it. They're going to lead the design of every single part of it, from a chip to a fully stacked tech company, you name it. They got it all. That's why I love it. Now, we have any other cash generating tips? You bet I got some tricks up my sleeve that I know you're going to love. Now, what if I'm wrong and NVIDIA goes down? Well, it could go down. When we started with the Google Cash Generation Blueprint, the stock split, it was $116 a share after the split. It went all the way down to 88, right? Yet nobody lost money. Well, how could that be? Well, that's just the way we manage the strategy. So I do expect it to go up and down. I expect it to do more up than down over the years, but it's going to go up and down. So it's no big deal. When you see how we run this strategy, there's nothing like it. That's why even with Google, 30 months in, through all the ups and downs, through all the terrible earnings announcements Google's had, through all the nonsense and the noise, we've done nothing but make money. And it's going to be even more money with NVIDIA. Now, what's in the bonus report? Well, you'll love them. They cover some awesome additional opportunities to play alongside NVIDIA if you want to. One epic dividend play and an amazing AI hedge stock. So how does this Blueprint Elite work again? Okay, this is the best value, the Cash Blueprint Elite. This is where you get instant access to our sister class, the Google Cash Generation Blueprint, and you'll get access to any future blueprints we find, including the brand new Bitcoin blueprint that just entered the beta testing phase. You're going to get all of it. Now, what about Google Bitcoin Cash members? What if you're already a member? Well, you know Jack has your back. So I'm going to take care of you. Just call the phone line, 904-706-3534, and tell them You want the Jack special. Okay? The Jack, call them up now and say, hey, I want the Jack special on the Cash Blueprint Elite, and they'll take care of you. You got it all going for you right there. So give us a call, 904-706-3534, or go to jackcartertrading.com/NVIDIA, or maybe click the link in the chat. But we got hundreds, over 1,000 people on here. So if the phone line is busy, put your name and phone number in the chat, and we'll get you locked in on this great deal. All right, Sarah, what kind of questions they have for me?
Well, they wanted to know, I know this was some of your frequently asked questions, but just to reiterate it, do you already need to own the stock of NVIDIA?
You can buy it on the 3rd with me, but you will need to already own 100 shares.
Okay, sounds good. And then let's see, is this beginner friendly?
Beginner. Oh, I'll tell you, if there was only one thing I'd have you do as a beginner, this would be it. Now, you only need level 1 options approval. So everybody gets that, right? You don't have any problem with that. Yeah, go to that link, jackcartertrading.com/NVIDIA. Give us a call, 904-706-3534, or put your name. Gina just put her name in there. Put your name and phone number in the chat. Other people can't see your number. But type it in there. Type your phone number in there. We'll give you a call and get you locked in. Ellen says, I was a beginner, and it is fantastic. Pat says, is it good for IRA account? Yeah, I do it in my IRA account. You'll love it. No tax problems. This is great for an IRA.
All right, now
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. The gains that you mentioned in the presentation earlier, what was the underlying investment or the starting stake?
Well, the starting stake, the stock went up for me. So my starting stake, I have 7,000 shares, but I bought it a long time ago. So your starting stake will be however much it costs you to buy 100 shares of NVIDIA. And I'd buy it now. I wouldn't wait, Andy. I would just go ahead and get it. Yeah, 100 shares. That's what you're going to need, Casey. Ola put her number in there. Way to go, Ola. Elisa, great. You're taking action.
Now, is this small account friendly? I know you mentioned you need at least one share.
Very small account friendly. I'll tell you, this strategy, in a letter to the CBOE, to the SEC, the CBOE said this strategy has less risk than owning a stock. That's why it's perfect for beginners. If you love cash flow, you're going to love this. No naked calls, Pat, nothing crazy. On margin, Andy, you would buy, if you were buying NVIDIA on margin, you'd only need 50% of whatever the market price is.
All right. Now, what if they are unable to buy 100 shares of the stock?
Yeah, they got to have that to do this. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, Rosalind, give us a call. We'll get you set up. You'd need 1,000 shares, Casey, to do 10 contracts. So I'm using 30 contracts. I'm using 3,000 of my 7,000 shares for the challenge. But you can just get started with one. That is the single best place you can start.
All right. And then what time was your class on Monday?
Class is at 11. It's always at 11. So the way we work this is we meet every month when the Friday of options expiration. That Friday after options expiration, then the following Monday, we meet at 11 o'clock and do the next trade. Yeah. I don't have the average return, Casey, for only one contract, but it's pretty high. Papa John says CST. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Doug says, Ola says, what is a contract? A contract is an option. They're called options contracts, so there's one option.
All right,
Doug says, why one trade a month? That's what I love about this. You only have to do it once a month. That's where the sweet spot is. We want to try to do this 11 to 12 times a year. Oh, yeah. Yodi says, I love this question. How do you make money when it goes sideways or down? Yeah, I'll show you how we do it. This is the same thing people said to me with Apple. I showed them how much money I made on Apple, and the stock didn't go up at all. It just went sideways. That's how this trade works out. So we're going to do one trade every month, Chuck.
All right. And Carol said you taught us how to do it on many stocks. Awesome.
Yeah, we've done it on a lot of them. We did it on AVGO. George, you could do this on Apple, but I'm gonna tell you some better ways to evaluate stocks to do this on, right? So, Tom, we had like 18, 19% return on margin is what we're seeing, which is why that's in 30 days. That's how we're going to blow away these returns. Papa John says, is that Eastern or Central? That's 11 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah. Wow, look at Carol Eccles. Carol says, I've made $69,375.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about, Carol. That is what I'm talking about. In 2025, I've made $69,375. Man,
Amazing.
I love that. So, Wes, why monthly and not weekly? Now, you could do weeklies, okay? You could here's how you decide which is better. You just take one weekly, multiply it by 4, right? And then you look at the monthly and you see which one you can make more money with. If you were selling one a week or if you're selling one a month. Take the weekly, multiply it by 4. Now, you're also going to have 65 cents option fee per contract, right? So you'd have 4 times as many of those if you did it weekly as opposed to doing it monthly. So when I did all the analysis, now I'd be doing it weekly if that's where the money was. I'm doing it monthly because I just found where that sweet spot is, and that's being able to do this 11 to 12 times a year. So I'm going to teach you how to pick a stock, but we've already got it picked for you here with NVIDIA. I'm going to teach you the hard part, right? Calls or puts, the even harder part. What strike price do I use? And the even harder part, what expiration do I use? I'm going to teach you all that and a bag of chips. Just be there on Monday, the 3rd. You're going to love us. You're going to love, love, love this. How long does it take to make money? Now, Jeff, this is the funny thing about it, is we're going to put this trade on the 3rd. And what's weird is we're going to get paid right there instantly. The money's going to hit your account instantly. And the reason that is because options are a zero-sum game. So for every buyer, there's a seller. So when we go to sell our options and there's a buyer, he's buying it. His money actually goes into your account that day, that instant. It's guaranteed by the CBOE to hit your account. Now, here's the weird thing. We're going to get paid on Monday, even if the trade doesn't work, right? You would think you would only get paid in a month if the trade worked, but that's not how this is set up. With options, you get paid instantly when you're the option seller. That way we got the money in hand. And if we need to make any adjustment, we'll do it. Now, it's not totally based on the trade going worthless, Yodi, but that's part of it. Yeah, NVIDIA does pay a dividend. Isn't that crazy? It's not a big one. Casey, you cannot use margin in an IRA. Okay, that's got to be all cash, but that's fine. No, we're not buying stock and options. I'm going to teach you the whole thing. Yeah, you can do this with Apple, George, no problem. So, Doug, I pick an expiration that's about 30 to 40 days out. That's part of the formula. That way we're only doing it like 11 to 12 times a year. So how does margin work, Linda? They're going to lend you the 50% you need to buy the stock. Yeah, Indra Motala, this will work perfectly for you.
And now they're asking about the trading platform to use. Can they use just any platform, or do you recommend?
Any platform, anything. It's a piece of cake. It's level 1 options, piece of cake. I use Schwab, but you can use Tasty Trade, Thinkorswim, E-Trade, whatever you have, you can start right there.
All right. And so for your class on Monday at 11, is that the time that you're placing the trades?
Yep, we're going to all do it live. Yep.
All right. So Casey at 11 a.m. on Monday, March 3rd. Is it always on Monday?
Always on a Monday after the Friday's expiration.
Okay.
The win rate has been huge. I think it's 100%. I'd have to check that out. Yeah, E-Trade, Robinhood, they'll all work. But this is nothing fancy. You don't need anything fancy. The most rudimentary trading platform will work. Yeah, Michael, we have a lot of people learn the strategy before they do it, right? That's why I say when we're on these calls, it should take 15 to 20 minutes. I think we were on there 2.5 hours on the last call. And why is that if it's 15 minutes? It's because I want you to ask me your questions. I want you to become an expert at this. And you can't be if we're just rushing through it, right? So I got a lot of patience. I want to take my time. I want you to be an expert. So you could teach it to somebody you care about, a niece, nephew, husband, wife, kids, grandkids. Anybody can do this.
All right. So just to clarify, they need to buy 100 shares of the stock. So they need capital to
Correct.
do that.
That's right.
Do they need any additional capital other than
None.
that?
None.
Okay.
None of that. Yeah, we don't use stop losses. We use another strategy to minimize risk. We know our break even. We use a tripwire type strategy. Yeah. We don't do that, Ronald. We're not buying any options. No, none of that. I just shared with you the biggest advantage in the market is when you're a seller, right? The options buyers lose. I've read all kind of stats, 80%, 85, 87. One stat was 95% of all call and put option buyers lose 100% of their money. And that's why I say options are a zero sum game. So if every time there's a loser, there's a winner, right? And when you've got that 80, 90% built in advantage, that's the biggest advantage in the market. So Casey says, what's the average loss? 50%, 100%? Nothing like that. We haven't really had a loss. It's just the way the strategy works. Now, if we were buying options, I would expect we could have a 50 to 100% loss. But it's so easy to determine your break even with this strategy that I'll show you how to unwind the trade and get out at break even. So you're never going to be in a position where you got a 50 to 100% loss. That just doesn't happen. We've never had anything like that.
All right, awesome. And Chris was asking, you probably answered this already. Sorry if you did. He said only trade 12 trade events a year, and will there be more opportunities like bonus trades?
Yeah, there won't be bonus trades with unless we take it on another stock.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going to do this 12 times a year. And iTunes says, can the stock be called away? Yes, it can be. That'd be a really good thing. I have to have that happen a couple times. Like people don't understand assignment. They think it's negative, but this is a positive for us.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I really think if you like what you heard and you like seeing cash flow hit your account, don't decide today. Join today. Join me Monday. And if you like what we're doing on Monday, you're going to love this. But at least go into this with an open mind, right? That you'll be able to do this and you'll be able to do it going forward. So I wouldn't worry about the strategy. I would just make sure that you're there and you'll see that cash flow come in.
All right. And then Sam, to be clear, it's 100 shares of the stock. So in this case, 100 shares of NVIDIA.
Yeah, that's right.
And now Craig is asking, I think he may have confused it a little bit. He's saying if he buys 100 regular shares today and then he buys another set of 100 on Monday, I guess that's where he's getting confused. Is it just one time 100?
Yeah, you only need 100 to start with. I have 7,000 shares, but you just need 100 shares to get started with.
Okay. So if they buy today, if they can after market, they don't need to buy it again on Monday.
They do not need to buy it again on Monday. Yep. Yeah, the same way. We meet every month on the Google and on the crypto. Same way. That a trade expires on a Friday, and then on the following Monday we do another trade.
All right. Andy's asking if he can borrow some of your 7,000 shares.
Yeah, sure. I'll lend them to you. Now, Linda says, can I join today and work out getting 100 shares later? Yes, you absolutely can. A lot of people do that. And a lot of people see this and see it, and they realize that they want way more than 100 shares, right? When you see how much money we're making, you're going to love this. Karen, that's a big secret. I can't tell you that. The average monthly return has been huge. Chuck says, I think it's been over 15%, if I'm not mistaken. Knock on wood. Some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. It all depends on where the market price of Nvidia is and what the option pricing is looking like at that time. Which, yeah, this stock checks all the boxes. I'm going to tell you how to pick a good stock for this strategy when we meet on the 3rd, and a lot more about it. I pretty much told you all I can tell you up until Monday, but I can't wait for Monday. This is why people love it. You know, we did this recently on the Bitcoin, and there was over 300 people on there, and I wouldn't leave the room until every single person had cash flow hit their account that day, right there live. That's why it went 2.5 hours. Yeah, and all the trades are recorded, Chris. We put them up in the members area. And Andy, that's my goal. Will we know how to do this on our own? That is my total goal, Andy. Now, like I say, it's crazy for you to listen to me tell you money is going to hit your account on Monday. I already know that's going to happen. I've been doing this a long time. But what you don't know is that I really do want you to be an expert. That's why I spend so much time on this. This is the number one strategy if you like cash flow. I wouldn't get caught up too much, Casey, on the percentage return every month. You'll see it. The software that I was talking about there, Casey, that's the calculator that shows you the percentage return. I'm going to give you that. I use those. I flunked 9th grade math. I hate doing math like this. So I had some guys smarter than me make these calculators. They're inside the members area. Okay. Good.
Now, if there's any questions we
Calculator.
missed, just go ahead and repost them.
Yeah. Lots of stuff is coming in fast.
Yes.
Jim, you do not need think or swim for this. This will happen on any you could do this on any platform. Okay. The next trade on the Bitcoin that's coming up, that's in the members area. You can use Tasty Trade. Lynn, I don't know how long this offer is going to be value available. My publisher Nate, he's squawking about raising the price, and he's also talking about cutting it off. We want to deliver a very special, unique experience for everybody in the group, and that way, you know, if it's too many people in there, you won't be able to get the personalized attention that I want to give you. All right. But I'm going to make you an expert if you join. That's how I roll. I show people how to make money.
All right. And then I know they're asking, are you selling puts, buying calls? They're asking those questions.
Well, let's cover that on the strategy. So Andy says, do you have to do it quick on Monday, or do I have time? You have all day on Monday, maybe even Tuesday. So this is not something that is like precision entry and you don't have a couple seconds to get in. You can do this trade all day long. And Raquel, you don't need any more money on top of what you needed to buy the Nvidia stock. So Sam Brown, you don't need after hours trading for this strategy. You only need that if you're going to do what we talked about on the call today. You don't need after hours trading for this.
And Steve's asking, once he becomes an expert in the system and strategy, can he apply it to other stocks?
Yeah, I do it on about 40 stocks. So
Awesome.
I do it on this one as I'm going to teach you why NVIDIA checks all the boxes. But I also do this on a bunch of boring stuff I have, like IBM, McDonald's, everything. You know, they don't all fit they don't all check all the boxes. Like NVIDIA is like the best of the best, right? But there's a lot of stocks that you can do this on that work great. Like all my dividend stocks in my dividend portfolio, I do this on, right? I'll explain all that. You can't do this 40 times a month, Andy. You got to slow your roll there, brother. Just join me Monday. I'll tell you why we don't do it 40 times in a month. Yeah.
He heard 60K and he's like, I want to do that times 4.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of them. I'm going to show you all of them.
Hey, Pat is asking, do I need any cash protection for the puts?
No.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to sell a naked put, you would want to do that on margin, or you would want to have all the money in your account to buy the stock at the strike price of the put you sold. So if you sell a naked put on Nvidia at 130, you would need 13,000 to be able to buy the stock if you had it put to you at 130, or you'd only need 20% if you did that on margin. That's why that margin on the naked put is so crazy. And that's something we'll talk about, but that's not the engine that drives the train. Well, that's what I'm going to teach you about in this strategy. That naked put stuff, that's just a little icing on the cake. But the real meat and potatoes is what we're going to do on Monday. Yeah, email me, Carol. support@jackcartertrading.com. Yep, Monday, Raquel. I'm excited too. It's going to be awesome. Awesome. Click that link. If the link is jammed up, put your name and phone number in the chat.
All right. And that's jackcartertrading.com/NVDA to stand for NVIDIA. All right. And so for the extra for lifetime, everything in total, it's going to be $882.
That's so cheap. That is just, I can't believe that's the right price. I can't believe it's not $1882.
That's the cheapest lifetime I've seen.
It's unbelievable. When you see how much people are making in this thing, it's nuts. Yeah, $882 that's the deal you want. Imagine doing this with me every month on 3 or more stocks. That's the best $882 you'll ever invest in your life, right? Imagine you make 10 grand off an $882 investment. Wow. Yes, Casey, I think this is. That'll be my answer to your question. Yeah, if you're having trouble with the link, put your name and phone number in the chat.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Dora Lease says, I have NVIDIA in a managed account. I don't know what that is, but I would fire any money manager you have or any advisor. You can do better than any of those guys, especially when you're an expert, which is what you're going to be. Classy Fern is in. Karen's in. All right, let's go. Let's get in.
And Jeff's
if you're in, Sam Brown's in. All right, you guys are getting me jacked up for Monday. We're all going to have some cash flow. Andy is in. All right, if you're in, say I'm in. I want to see this. You guys are getting me. Oh, I love it. I love it. Ron's in at the Elite. Mike's in. Ronald's in. Carol's already in. This is awesome. Andy getting the lifetime deal. These are my action takers right here, Sarah. These are my action takers. Mike is in. Dorlee's in. Robertson. See, these are my action takers. Rochelle's in. These are the people that are going to make the money in 2025. Not the people that just say, "Oh, you're a good trader. Send me the pick and tell me when to get out." Those people aren't going to make it. Right? The people that make it are going to be the ones that know what they're doing and to the point they're an expert at it. RJ's in, Karen's in, Scott's in. You guys, man, I can't wait. I can't wait for Monday. See, now this is going to get me all jacked up again. Classy Fern is in. It's good stuff. Yeah. You don't need to trade the place real fast. No, how fast do you need to place the trade? You could take an hour all day. As long as you get it in that day, then you'll be fine. Now, Chart Trend says I should expect 18% each month. No. Don't expect anything, right? We got to just see what we can get. We're going to go for what we can get, but there's no expectations, my friend. Okay? Joseph says, I love it too. Awesome. This is good. This is good stuff. Yeah, this is great for people that love making money, and great for people that hate taking losses, and great for people that want to become an expert at the most powerful stock and option strategy on the planet. And if that's you, take action. Get the lifetime deal. That's the one everybody wants. I think so, SWAT. Is it possible to go to lifetime after the 385? You'd have to call us. Yeah, I'm going to show you my money coming in too, Yodi. Yeah, I'll show you when I do my trade. We all do it. Actually, the way it works is we go over the strategy first, okay? So I got a whole presentation on that, and I do that every time. Then after we do the presentation on the strategy, which I need you to understand that inside and out, backwards and forwards, then we look at the options. We look at the stock. We analyze how the stock has been trading. Then we look at the options chains, and that's where the magic really happens, because I know from teaching people this that it is hard to find the underlying stock, right, which we've covered here, and then puts or calls, which do you choose? And then the hard part is expiration and strike price. So we're going to look at that options chain together. We're going to pick out the expiration and the strike of the option we're going to sell. And then we're just going to start selling it. And just like you're typing in now, I'm in, you're going to type in how much you got for selling that option. And my goal is to have everybody, if there's 400 of us, every single person is going to have cash flow hit their account before we get off the call. And you're not going to get that kind of level of training or commitment from anybody else, right? This is something you want to follow, somebody that does, the trader that does it when his own money is on the line, not just talking about it, but doing it. Fire the manager. Dorlee, fire the manager. You can fire the manager and keep all the positions, right? These guys are charging you 2% to manage your money. That's a joke. They don't buy and sell anything. They just sit on it, right? I know a lot of money managers here in South Florida. A lot of them are my personal friends, but they don't do anything, right? You're much better taking it away from them, doing it yourself, right? Learning how to do it yourself. Dorlee, you'll be so much happier and more profitable. Just fire them. Fire them. Everybody should fire them. That's Carol Eckel says yes. Yeah. I'm in South Florida. In the winter, I'm outside of Naples, Florida. And in the summer, I spend the entire summer or more in a cabin outside of Aspen, Colorado. Little 400 square footer cabin. But I'm out fly fishing all the time and riding an adventure motorcycle. What I'm not doing is staring at the computer all day. I prefer to be out playing with my friends, grandkids, stuff like that.
And that's the goal. You don't want to sit
That's
in front
the
of the
goal.
computer all day.
Don't. You just want to make cash flow more than I'm embarrassed at how much money I've made from this strategy. But that's what you're going to learn. Yeah. An adventure motorcycle is a motorcycle that can go on the road or on the trails. Yeah. That's what Casey was asking. Jeff is in for lifetime. Very smart. Omar, send me an email about another program. I've been on here for 3 hours. I'll answer any question you got by email.
And for those of you who are awaiting a confirmation email, our team is working on it. There was a lot of you guys on the website, which is probably why it stopped working at some point.
Yeah.
But they're processing all the confirmation, so you should receive that email shortly. Just give them some.
Yeah, give them a little time, and if the phone lines are jammed up, put your name and phone number in the chat. We'll get you, thank you, Mark, for doing that. We'll get you locked in on this deal. Remember, you want the lifetime deal. My email is support@jackcartertrading.com. You can send any email you want there. It'll come to me. My team can answer a lot of them. But, Jack has your back. So if you need to send me a question, go ahead and send it to me, or write all the questions you have down, for Monday. That's why we spend so much time, is because I answer all your questions. And, some people say, Jack, this might be a stupid question, and then they ask the question. And I want to tell you, there are no stupid questions. Okay. We're all just learning. All right. So there's no stupid questions. And I want you to ask me everything. I want you to use me. Okay. Use me to get what you want to get out of the market. Yes, Maureen, fire your manager, manage your own money.
Rosalind's asking, I know we answered this already. She said, is this a covered call strategy?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not what strategy you use. It's how you use the strategy. That's just saying it's what it is you really can't put a short answer on it like that. So normally I don't want to get into it, but yeah.
Yeah. That's something that they would need to join in on at 11 a.m.
Yeah. Those all look pretty good, but we'll talk about that on Monday too. How to find other stocks and which ones you don't want to use, right?
Yeah.
Ken, that's all you need. If you got 100 shares, you're ready to rock and roll. Rochelle Caron wants VIP. Very smart, Rochelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that lifetime deal. You'll be glad you did. You might not be glad now, right? But just think, after Monday, you see this money coming in. you're going to be like, oh man, am I glad I did this? Because you might not be able to get in after this, right? So get in and don't decide now. Get in and decide 2 weeks from now or even after Monday if you don't like how much money we're making. But I know you will because I'm doing it. I wouldn't be doing this for 20 years if it wasn't making money.
Yep.
VIP, that's what you want.
All right. And then, yes, for those of you who put your numbers in the chat here, our team will go ahead and they'll call you.
Yeah, our team we're making them work overtime. They'll probably be working. It's 5:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
And I don't mind working. I go, during the class, I'll go for as long as you want to go. But my team, it's 5:30 and we're not letting them off until we get all of you signed up. So Maureen says, you're the first person that wants me to totally understand the strategy. Yeah. Well, we should all be like that because you really can't get anything out of it unless like you are the expert, right? And once you're an expert at this, you're really going to have a solid grasp of everything because you can't really be an expert at options until you've become kind of an expert at stocks, right? You got to get that part first and then options. But we're kind of combining this all at one time, mixing it all together and staying on with you live, right? Until you get it down, until you got that money hit your account. And you never know, you could be making more than it cost you to get into it on the very first trade.
All right.
Yeah, Mike K, type your name. Type your name in there, and your name and number in there. How do you handle PDT?
That's a good one.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, pattern day trading.
Oh yeah, no, this doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay, cool. Well, that's even better.
Yeah. 14-day money back guarantee, Bill. But here's one thing that I'll tell you. I truly believe that anybody that wants their money back, they already know they want it back before they even really buy it, right? That just is the way people are. They know they're going to refund it. They want to download it all and keep it and then ask for their money back. I get it. But if that's you, let's just pass on that because I just want the action takers, the ones that are they don't want to refund it. Why would they refund it when this guy's been doing it for 20 years with his own money on the line, right?
Right.
You will have money hit your account on Monday, Andy. You will. I will. I know I am. You do the same trade I'm doing. You'll have money hit your account too. All right, Wes, you got to join me on the class. I don't want to get too deep into that right now. We'll be in the weeds.
All right. And
Ola,
then
yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, Ola, go ahead and get on with this Monday, right?
All right. And then the course that teaches them the method and all that stuff, you have master classes and training in your members area, right?
Yes, I do. We got the best one. Wes likes the weeds. You guys are cracking me up. We have a lot of fun on this class too. I got to tell you, we get a lot of comedians in there. I'll just say that. A lot of jokes getting cracked. A lot of people having fun. Why are they having fun? Because every single one of them had cash flow hit their account that day. And that's what we're going to do on Monday. The only reason you would not have cash flow hit your account on Monday is because you didn't do the trade. That's it. That's the only way. Other than that, it's going to be payday on Monday, and then every month after that. And we might even have another little contest, which I'll tell you about on Monday. So you're going to like that.
All right. Any other questions, or do you want to go ahead and wrap up, Jack? We've been going for about 3 hours now.
Yeah, no, I'm good to go. I just want to make sure they're on board. They're in first. Get in first, and we'll go through all if there's any other problems down the road, we'll get in on that.
Okay, sounds good.
But if Sarah, it's up to you. I'll let you handle whether or not I should cut out or stay on.
Well, let's answer a few more questions.
Okay.
Coming in here, I did want to ask, so when they join today, should they watch any of the trainings before Monday?
Yeah, I would. I would get in there right away. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. And for those of you guys asking about the pricing and the different discounts, just go ahead and call our team because we don't have everything right in front of us here. But just call our team at 904-706-3534 or Since there is a lot of you guys, drop your number in the chat. Only we see that. It's not public, and they can reach out to you.
Yeah, Dano says, what about leaps? Don't use a leap. That's a very bad idea. We'll talk about that on Monday as well. Sam Brown is in. All right. Yeah, Indra, you might not get a confirmation yet. There's over 1,000 people were on today, so it might be a while. I'd give it a few minutes. But if you bought it and it went through um, the program, then you're all set. There's no cost to the trade, David. We're going to be bringing in, taking money, not spending money on Monday. So we're not going to pay for any trade. We're going to get paid. Right. Hey, and with that, I think it's time for me to say adios, amigos.
All right. Thank you so much, Jack.
Get in, guys. Get in. You're going to love it.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this session. This was a long but jam-packed session. Totally worth it. We had a roundtable going earlier. If you missed it, we were live streaming this on YouTube. So you can go ahead and watch that replay there. All right. And if you guys can see my screen in today's panel for the NVIDIA roundtable, we had Roger, Kane, Lance, Nate, Jack, Graham, and myself, which I was your host. You guys can go ahead and rewatch that on YouTube there. So huge thank you to the gurus that were here with us to sharing their insights about what their expectations were and where they stand with NVIDIA pre-earnings and slightly post-earnings. If you guys missed anything, watch that recording. I will stick around to collect those phone numbers and emails that you guys put in the chat for us. And if you are really interested in Jack's NVIDIA income blueprint that he was just talking about, I'm going to drop the link one more time, which is jackcartertrading.com/NVIDIA. Well, the ticker, NVDA. And you guys can go ahead and get started. If the link's not working for you or you're not getting through to our team, there is a lot of you guys. So just drop your numbers and your names in the chat. Only I see that. It's not public. And then our team can reach out to you guys. All right. Now, as far as how much money is needed, what he mentioned, Jack, is you need 100 shares of the stock. So I don't have the current price. I think it was like 130 or 133 last time I checked. So 100 shares of NVIDIA to start. So you guys can do the math. All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you, Wes. 133.35. So yes, where on YouTube can you find the recording? Good. Let's see. Let me get the link here, and I'm going to post the YouTube link so you guys have the recording. All right. 1 second here. And if you have any last minute questions, is what I'm here for. So this is the YouTube link that I'm posting here for you guys. All right. You're welcome. It was always a pleasure to host all these gurus. So much insight that they share. And for Jack's class, it's going to be Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Yes, you're welcome, guys. It's always a pleasure. I love doing these. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and just fade into the background here. I'll put on some music for you guys. Don't see YouTube? I'll post it again for you. Put on some music here, fade into the background. If you have any questions, I will still be here. Until the music stops, I will be here. All right, you're welcome, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you on Monday in Jack's class, or if you were here early, he is going live tomorrow at 10 for his opening playbook. All right, guys, have a great one.